Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
6 seconds left. The Warriors will not foul. That is going to do it. The horn sounds here at Target Center, and the Wolves have captured Game 5, 121 to 110.
Wolves Radio. Wolves move on to the Western Conference Finals, and the Golden State Warriors are left to pick up the pieces in what was a very disappointing ending for so many reasons. Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We will get to the NFL schedule release and all the fun stuff that happened yesterday, and weirdly, it got controversial. Like, only the NFL can walk into a controversy on what should just be a fun schedule release day, but that's football for you. Let's talk about this Golden State Warriors team. We're going to have plenty of time to talk about the Wolves. We're not ignoring them. We don't know who their opponent's going to be. They're going to wait, obviously, Denver and OKC. But if you're Golden State, Pearl, obviously this entire series comes with a massive caveat. You lost Steph Curry. We understand your best player was gone. But I can still look at the rest of what happened to the Warriors and be critical of what I saw. And I'm looking at Jimmy Butler, I'm looking at Draymond Green, and I'm looking at Steve Kerr. Because those are the people who I think are going to, no doubt, be here moving forward. I'm not going to start blaming role players like Brandon Pajemski and guys like that. I thought Kerr was not good in this series after Curry went down. Draymond was not good last night. Jimmy showed you a little something, and then maybe he's sick. I don't know what the real situation is. But Jimmy Butler was not anywhere close to playoff Jimmy. Like, that is over.
I don't understand why you're playing the blame game, though. Steph Curry was out, but if you look at this team and you say the biggest problem was Steve Kerr or Draymond Green or Jimmy Butler, I'm not sure I totally agree with that. They are small. I mean, Julius Randle looked like Will Chamberlain playing against plumbers and firemen. Yeah. They already had massive structural problems. And we knew that coming in. They were a play-in team, for God's sake. And then they lose their best player. What on earth do you expect those three to do? This isn't the Eastern Conference. They're in the Western Conference. Playoff Jimmy is, first of all, 35, sick, doesn't even really know this team, clearly doesn't even like Jonathan Kuminga. Watch 2 seconds of Warriors basketball. There's no way on earth that was going to happen. So I'm not sure. You blame athletes for not showing up when they have a shot, and they didn't have a shot in this series.
Okay, I love that we're just giving Jimmy Butler some kind of participation trophy when after he did arrive at the trade deadline, the Warriors turned into a completely different team.
Right, because of Steph and Jimmy together.
Well, Steph was there, and beforehand, and they were a 500 team. Here's the deal. He's the second highest paid player on the team, and
so
you
what?
extended him. So you got Jimmy Butler making $54 million next year and $56 million the year after, and I can't ask him to win a game to extend a series against Minnesota. And I know he's sick, but what are we doing here?
So you're saying if you look back at history, if Jokic was out, then you would expect Jamal Murray to lead them to wins because he gets $50 million? Or back in the day, was Kyrie going to lead the Cavs to a title if LeBron was out? When you lose to Steph Curry, nobody's coming in. Not playoff Jimmy, not anyone. There's no way they were winning the series.
Pearl, I never even said win the series. Win a game. They couldn't win a game. You win a game.
How are they going to win a game?
Extend...
They're putting the G League team out compared to this T-Wolves team.
Well, and that's where I'll get to Kerr. I mean, if you want to blame Mike Dunleavy, the GM, okay, fine.
They lost their star, and there was such a thin margin with this team already. Okay, even if they're fully healthy, everything had to go right.
Okay, but here's the thing about that. I'm asking Jimmy Butler, who's going to go down as one of the 75 greatest players in the NBA, who dragged G League teams to the finals.
In the East.
Playing against the Boston Celtics.
In the East.
Okay, playing against a team that eventually won a championship. The Minnesota Timberwolves haven't won jack squat.
Yeah, they were in the East. They were in the Western Conference Finals last year.
Haven't won jack. Jimmy Butler, clearly there was something about the Celtics that we could see they were eventually going to win a title, and they did break through. So Jimmy was able to vanquish them. Joel Embiid in an MVP season. You can say what you want and just kill the East and use that as your excuse. But he did have to go through incredible players. Giannis, the Celtics, when Embiid actually was a thing.
But he had a good team around him.
He didn't.
He had Bam
He
from
had
a lot of that.
G League team.
The last one. But honestly, there's no way the Heat team that played the Nuggets, there's no way on earth they get out of the West. But that's also 3 years ago. Jimmy's 35 and sick. Like, what? Did anybody think that he was going to be able to do this? No, of course not. He's on a worse team, and he's going up against, let's give the T-Wolves some credit here. They are a long defensive team. He's got an army of 6'6" wings covering him, and then if he gets past them, he gets to Rudy Gobert, who's got nothing better to do except protect the rim because the rest of the Warriors players are not up to snuff. There's nothing Jimmy could have done, and you know that.
Oh, I totally disagree. He was wildly unimpressive for who Jimmy Butler is. I didn't say, oh my gosh, I can't believe that Buddy Hield wasn't more consistent. Hield, by the way, disappeared. And I'm seeing some, Warriors fans who at least were on my timeline saying trade Draymond, because now you look forward to where are the Warriors going here?
Someone would take Draymond's almost 40.
I'm telling you, I think
are you
it's
trading
just,
for Udonis Haslem? What are you talking about?
Draymond has still signed. He's got a player option through the 2026-2027 team. And you remember what Udonis Haslem was at the end. This is not Draymond. I don't want him to break through the door like the Kool-Aid man and fight me, but he was he was a cheerleader.
Right, but he doesn't. I mean, he only has value as a semi-coach. Like, he's not going to. He couldn't play in any other system in the NBA except this one. Right.
I'm just saying. I think the fans of the Warriors are ready for a major change.
They have no choice. This team is done as we know them. There's just not enough talent there. First of all,
I think everybody else.
Like, defensively, they fell apart.
Yes,
Julius Randle has never had a series this season. And watch, you'll see the old Julius Randle in the next series. They just do not have the bodies.
Okay, now to Steve Kerr, who I do think deserves criticism here. And Kerr is obviously untouchable because he, presided over Dynasty, his playing career, Team USA. I'm giving him all the flowers. We're Kerr fans. But he was not good in this series because how many guys did you play last night? They said they needed game 3, right, to figure out who the rotations were, and they were going to learn a lot after Curry went down, and they were going to figure it out. What did they figure out? Pat Spencer and Quentin Post and Santos out there for 15 minutes? You had no idea.
Compared to what?
What?
Compare what's your better option?
How about Jonathan Kuminga, who I know did battle some injuries earlier this year?
Kuminga finally got minutes.
Never got into the rotation. Do you expect a guy to basically walk in who hasn't played in almost weeks and come in and say, hey, can you, by the way, save the series for us or at least help?
Well, but wait.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Him, well, so you're criticizing him for not working in Kuminga earlier in the season.
I'm not the only one who's doing that. And two,
well, I mean, obviously, Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler did not like Jonathan Kuminga because they perceive that he's a ball hog.
Well, then who is that on? The coach to figure it out.
Steph Curry has no interest in breaking in Jonathan Kuminga, and I get this is a story as old as time. I mean, LeBron was the same way. I think that's a team building. They're two different timelines. Remember with the Warriors 2 timelines thing?
Yeah.
Well, the young timeline doesn't work with the old timeline. You can't put this on Kerr. I mean, Red Auerbach in his prime was not taking that roster that you had on the court and beating a Timberwolves team.
How many future Hall of Famers are on this roster, Pearl? Jimmy Butler went to the finals with Gabe Vincent and Max Strus, who was 0 for a million in a closeout game that we just saw in Cleveland.
Right.
With, Bam Adebayo, but I'll give you Bam Adebayo. You get Jimmy Butler and you've got Draymond Green. It's not like the cupboard was completely bare here.
Look at this starting lineup. Draymond Green, Trace Jackson Davis, Butler, Buddy Hield, and Brandon Podziemski.
Okay.
I mean, Buddy Hield.
Buddy Hield, who was amazing a couple games ago, who they're probably going to keep.
Well, I'm just saying, this is not the plan.
Trace Jackson Davis may have actually been more of a thing. If, again, what are you doing to develop these guys while everyone's sitting around watching Steph Curry just carry everyone?
So let me just get this on paper.
Yeah.
You are criticizing Steve Kerr for not developing Trace Jackson Davis, who was a mid-second round pick.
And also for not steering Kuminga's career in a way where all of a sudden, the guy just basically got banished to Siberia, and then, oh my gosh, we need him. Wow, look how good this guy is. To me, you're acting like the Minnesota Timberwolves were the 98 Bulls. They're not. And they looked like it because the Warriors put up no fight.
They just whooped a fully strength Lakers team, which did not have the injuries. They beat them in 5.
The Lakers got problems, clearly.
Well,
deeper than we realized.
Okay. You are definitely never going to give the T-Wolves credit. What if they beat the next team?
By the way, those aforementioned Lakers with guys who were on Jimmy Butler's Heat team that he dragged to a finals, and you're telling me Jimmy doesn't matter.
LeBron James.
Well, it was terrible. It was terrible.
But this T-Wolves team is definitely built to counter a Warriors team without Curry. If Curry was there, they'd probably win the series.
The Warriors?
They handled him pretty easily in Game 1 when Curry was healthy. I just think you're taking a goat out of the lineup. Of course, you're going to lose.
Okay, but here's the situation: do you think that it's a slam dunk that the T-Wolves are going to the finals?
No, not at all.
So they're not this unbeatable force that the Warriors. And I didn't even say win a game,
but I don't think
to give Curry a chance to come back off that hamstring.
But the Warriors wouldn't win a game against the Thunder either without Curry. They're really bad without Curry. I mean, they're as you mentioned, they're putting up non-NBA starter level players into the rotation. This is not a good team. I mean, I'm telling you, what are you looking at? I don't quite see the talent. You're saying Buddy Hield? Do you realize Buddy Hield's been on more teams than almost anybody in the league over the last 3 years?
Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green, 2 guys who are walking into the Hall of Fame. We can't ask anything from Jimmy Butler. Guys, he is.
Jimmy Butler and Draymond. I mean, yes, Jimmy Butler will maybe get you a game here or there. First of all, he was sick anyway. Well, I just think so do you really thought the Warriors were going to be able to survive?
Win a game.
They were, the other thing too, obviously they were not inspired. They didn't think Steph was coming back. They clearly mentally gave up on this series.
Again, that's on coach.
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. If you're a worse team.
The excuses.
Yeah, you stink.
My.
Are you kidding me? Steph Curry is not on the court. You are playing Buddy Hield as your guy. And you're playing Trace Jackson Davis. You said you actually said they did develop Trace Jackson Davis and work him in. He should be in the NBA. He's at 57th pick.
Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green.
You are expecting way too much out of Jimmy Butler.
Guys, but you're expecting way too little.
You're expecting way, way too much out of Draymond Green. Who do you think Draymond Green is?
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Okay, so Warrior fans, mount up. What do you think?
I'm the petty king.
From the bench, it doesn't land the same way. I mean,
looks handsome though.
Lot of question marks heading into the Warriors offseason, that's for sure.
It feels
because if they're this crap play-in barely, then they've got a full-on makeover.
They've had 2 play-ins in a row, right?
This is, I think, third season for them, third playoff season in a row that's ended in the second round.
You saying that they're turning into the Atlanta Hawks of the West?
No, I'm just saying. Then you should have never traded for Butler.
Yeah.
Right? What else are you going to do around him? Because it's not like he's here on some veteran minimum deal.
That is totally ridiculous.
And
because
that's not
you did
what
not
we were
count
saying.
on Steph Curry to get hurt.
He's 37.
He's never had a hamstring. Did you? I don't know. I didn't come into this playoff series and say, because Curry is definitely so brittle.
Anyone can get hurt at any time.
He's never had a hamstring injury in his life.
Okay, but
anybody could get hurt. Guess what? The T-Wolves could have gotten hurt if Ant-Man or Randall got hurt. Then maybe it's a different series. But one of the top 5 players in NBA history got hurt, who was playing amazing, by the way, especially since Jimmy got there. He finally had his legs underneath him. He was unstoppable. If Curry was still on the court, they'd probably win the series. And you're looking at a 35-year-old Draymond who scored 9 points a game to carry this team?
Listen, I'm just saying I was told Draymond Green is the best defender of this generation. And then I watched the defense fall apart. And you can't blame Steph Curry being out on that.
Well, to me, that's a much bigger problem for the Warriors. This small ball seems to have hit a wall. I even last night, like, cover. Julius Randle's so unafraid of your interior defenders.
Randall was running the floor last night.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah, he was.
That was
he?
something. 888-710-4ISN. All right, Warrior fans, am I being too hard? I'm disappointed they couldn't win a game. Extend the series, see if Steph can come back off that hamstring. And Perloff is saying, never had a shot. Don't blame anybody. Just everyone gets ice cream. Let's all go home.
Ooh,
okay,
yes,
if Jokic gets hurt in Game 6, are you going to be like, oh, my God, I can't believe you didn't step up Michael Porter Jr.? Come on. Steph Curry got hurt.
888-710-4ISN. So that's what's going on in hoops. Manny taking the Knicks loss surprisingly well this morning.
No,
I'm
not.
Oh, you're masking it well.
Oh, thank you.
Must be the Zins.
I'm seething. I don't have a Zin in right now.
Okay, we'll get there.
We
have
definitely will.
a lot to get to
My
from
pop too.
the NFL schedule release from last night, which weirdly got controversial. Like, how? Come on, NFL.
Roger Goodell, I'll tell you.
That's because the teams, I know I got controversial, but the bar has been raised so high in one aspect of the NFL that, of course, they're going to run into trouble.
Oh, God, what
insane.
a tease. What a tease.
He's a pro. 888-710-4ISN. Warriors disappointing ending or what you expected? It's the Maggie Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. Schedule came out for the NFL. I hope you are happy with your team slate. I got to be honest, the Eagles are all over. They're crisscrossing the world, or crisscrossing the country at least. It's amazing. You have to have an advanced degree in math to figure out where games are going to be now, which is okay.
And what time and what day.
Okay.
Yeah.
To me, I think that's a big threat because when I couldn't find the MLB playoffs, that's when the MLB playoffs started to fall off a little bit for me. But the NFL still, I think, was in reason. We'll talk to the NFL's Onnie Bose, who's the broadcasting guru there, about their schedule.
Help makes the schedule, puts it together.
Help puts him and Mike North at the NFL have been there forever, and they sort of have a system here. You can't fault the NFL because, listen, they're the kings right now. If it looks crazy what they're doing, they will figure it out. But I'm still mad at you from segment one.
Why?
Why are you killing Jimmy Butler? Poor Jimmy Butler. He's 35. He is coming off a cold. And you expect him. Did you see the guys covering him? Like, if he could possibly beat Jaden McDaniels, then he's got Rudy just standing there with nothing to do. So this is not a team that can carry without Steph Curry. There's no way Jimmy Butler could have done this. I just did not see that happening.
Yeah, I think you're lowering the bar big time. Like, all right, everybody, let's have cake and ice cream and go home, get a pat on the head. You're the freaking Warriors. I mean, and you're Jimmy Butler, for goodness sakes.
You're freaking Warriors. Nobody has any idea. You're a Trace Jackson Davis is like, you bring that championship pedigree. Dude, you shouldn't be in the NBA, and you're on the court in the second round of the playoffs.
Well, that's because Steve Kerr is grasping at straws and has no idea what to do with his rotations, which is crazy because he's forgotten more basketball than I'll ever know. And I'm like, what is going on out there?
You'd rather him stick with a lineup that's not working? I mean...
he tried everything. There's a lacrosse player out there. I mean, what are we doing here?
Why is that his fault? I don't understand. Like, he's trying to actively do something. Would you rather him be Joe Mazzulla and look like you're taking a nap in the third quarter?
They said that they needed game 3 to figure stuff out. They didn't figure anything out, and now they're going home. 888-710-4ISN. Warrior fans, let us know what you think. Mike is in Dallas, though, wants to talk about the Cowboys schedule. Cowboys, whoever thought they were going away as America's team, not the case. The Cowboys are going to be in prime time on your TV as much as ever. They are kicking off the season against Perloff's Eagles. Thanksgiving, of course, because that's their normal slot. And then Christmas. They have 4 Thursday games because of how the schedule landed. Mike, what did you think of the schedule for your boys?
Well, something the other night, I was a little excited because of everything that was going on. But Perloff thinks that the NBA is not rigged. I guess he's probably not even 30. Have him look up Tim Donahue. Or Donahue. But anyway.
Oh, is this going back to the draft lottery? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, yeah, but you don't remember when we were playing the Heat?
Yes, Dwayne Wade, all the free throws.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but there's a different thing. Like, are the officials on the take? Yes, we have proof of that. But does that mean they're rigging? Why are you connecting the officials to the ping pong balls?
If they're capable of one thing, they're capable of anything. I love props like, are the referees on the take?
They're obviously not capable.
Of course
they're not smart enough to get away with the not having the officials gamble on sports, and yet they can pull the ultimate Houdini act with Ernst & Young watching. Like, nuclear physicists.
And did y'all see Draymond the other day? He mouthed out the spread is 5.5.
Oh, did Draymond say that? I'm telling you, from your players, that doesn't help.
50K.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, the Cowboys
that they get caught with these obvious things.
Everyone's saying the Cowboys got the toughest schedule. But
no, the Giants have the toughest schedule.
In order to be the best, you got to beat the best. So week 1, we're opening up against the Eagles. And these are my picks, not against the money line. These are just straight picks. Week 1 against the Eagles, I see W. Week 2.
Wait, hold on, Mike. We can't Mike and the Mad Dog this thing and go through win-loss.
I'm sorry, Maggie. I got to hear.
Also, this is the money line. You're talking about the money line if you're just doing wins-losses. You're saying you don't want to go up against the spread.
Here's winning. I'm just telling you how the schedule lines up for the boys.
No, I'm not doing 18 weeks, Mike, of you doing win-loss here on the Cowboys. Tweet us.
Mike,
Week 1, that's Eagles W. Week 2 versus the Giants, W. Week 3 at the Bears, W.
I can't do it. Mike, I love you, man, but I can't.
Rock solid call.
And let me guess, Packers Sunday Night Football, W. At the Jets, W. At the Panthers, W. Listen,
actually, that actually a couple W's in there.
No, this is the big takeaways for the Dallas Cowboys. You're going to get a lot of Cowboys in your holiday season, so be ready for that. You're obviously getting a lot of Dallas in primetime. There are some ways to stack wins here a bit for the Cowboys early in the season if they can take advantage and if Dak's hamstrings are all healthy and everything like that. Because you're right, the Giants at Jets at Panthers, on paper, these are some winnable games that you should be able to get under your belt early.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, I think the Cowboys have really big challenges.
Well, yeah, they start off with the Eagles.
It's not even the schedule. Like they can't stop the run and they can't run the ball yet. They have to prove that they are not going to be a sieve defensively. And Brian Schottenheimer, I don't care if you trade for George Pickens, he's going to try to run the ball. Can they do it? I'm really, this team is teetering on the edge of mediocrity to me. There's some experts I saw last night because everyone was analyzing it that think they can get back to that 12-5 level. With this schedule, I don't think that's happening. The question is, can they get back to Cowboy football, which is having a strong offensive line and running the ball? Even a game like at the Jets and at Carolina, like if they can't do that, then any of these games are toss-up.
So this was a point that they made on ESPN last night. So I do want to give, I think it was Dan Orlovsky, like full credit here. But it's a brutal stretch when you're starting with Week 12, the Eagles. So that's the week before Thanksgiving. Then you're playing the Chiefs on Thanksgiving, at Lions, Vikings, Chargers, at Commanders on Christmas, and then you finish out with the Giants. That's a tough stretch, and not just that, but the point that Dan was making is that's a tough, schedule stuff to navigate for a first-time head coach. Now, Schottenheimer's a lifer in the NFL, but as far as, holidays and getting people ready for that, he said that's going to be a challenge, he thought, for a first-time head coach.
Figure it out.
Yeah, I think personally, I think you're looking way too deep into that.
I don't know if Dak Prescott's even going to be healthy by the time we get to week 12.
Are we playing relevant games then? It's interesting because they were 7-10 last year and they were 3-5 before Dak got hurt. I just think, you know what? You yelled at me for lowering the bar on the Warriors with Jimmy Butler. I've definitely lowered the bar on this Cowboys team. I just want them to be relevant. I don't think anyone's picking them for the Super Bowl anymore. So if they're in the mix at that point in the season, I'm okay. I know that sounds. Cowboys fans might not want to hear that, but what's your bar here? You're not playoff position. Even if you get in the playoffs, I don't think your expectations are to go very far.
No, I think for the first time, they're right where they should be. Maybe you'd be lucky to be a wild card team. Jay is our pal in Nashville. What's up, Jay?
Wow, I guess Billie Jean, Maggie, and the all-denim ensemble means somebody's getting put on a cold meat hook and blamed to death early in the morning.
This is D-Block Maggie.
Man, Perloff, keep your distance. And I'm glad Zach don't come on later on today because nobody wants that smoke this early in the morning. But as far as the Warriors, man, Mag, you missing the point.
What's that?
The Warriors are so OG. They know, we're not going to win the championship this year. Why? We're too old for this. Let's just go home and just get our rehab on. And, I think Kerr's the one that pulled. I think Kerr, that ain't even hard to date. They're already champions. They're like, what do we got to prove? Man, dude, come on. We're making our money. And I don't blame them for it because they earn that right. They so OG with it.
Wait, hold on, Jay. But what about the idea about trying to maximize Steph Curry's end of his career, trying to rip off another title to get him a fifth, to put him past LeBron? These are conversations we had, let me check my watch, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but Steph hurt his hamstring.
Okay,
Did
but
you not see that?
they traded for Jimmy because they wanted to try. It's not like they traded for some unknown, scrub.
Right.
They traded for a guy who literally has playoff something in front of his name.
He was Robin. Robin is not saving the day alone. Batman
Can
goes
Robin
down.
win a game? Robin can't win a game?
Robin's not taking down the Joker and Bane. You need Batman for that.
Can he hold them off for a second? Can he shut a vault door? Can he throw
Robin.
some dynamite at their feet?
Guys, can I please say this? Curry don't even care. Curry is like, let's all go home. But hey, let me get on the Knicks real quick before you hang up on me.
Sure.
I mean, I even tweeted Emmanuel last night. That game last night, Knicks just want to win it in New York. That was rigged. I mean, 4 fouls in the third quarter, and I'm even looking at Russell like, dude, you fouled like that on purpose, man. All they want to do is win it in New York, just so like everybody can lose their mind. You'll have 10-year-olds walking down the street with a case of Bud Light that they bought on their own with their own money. Somebody's grandmama twerking on the street light, and somebody actually getting their cardio in on somebody's mom in the middle of the street.
What do you
and
think
I'm
goes
like,
on in
and
New
I'm
York?
no, but have you seen the footage lately? Even Fat Joe is like, what is going on with New York fans right now?
Well,
and the thing I'm saying is way too early, y'all, to be tripping like this. I mean, I am 51 and I've never seen you guys win a championship. This time I'm rooting for you. My whole family's from Chicago. So we saw y'all get laid out in the 90s every year. So, you know what I mean? I'm feeling for you now.
Wait, Jay,
I want you to win.
Everyone, you're right. Well, I'm going to disagree with you on one thing, and thank you for calling out my outfit today because I'm wearing a jean shirt, and I feel like I look like, do I look like I'm in prison or something today? Is this my prison outfit?
Yeah, kind of. Like you're about to sit in the front row to see Johnny Cash play Folsom.
That's what I was going for.
Like Shawshank Redemption kind of prison, not a modern prison.
Yeah. You got a Marlboro on your sleeve? How's that work?
I'll trade you for it, but it's going to cost you. So the thing about the Knicks last night, first of all, Manny, can you be our stats and info right now and maybe try to figure out the last time Jalen Brunson fouled out of a game?
Yeah, by the way.
And you can go back to Villanova.
Yeah, Jay just nailed it. I didn't realize it until he said that. This explains everything.
So that's really dangerous, though, because
want
to know why?
Dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
It is. Well, I love Jay. Not the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but the Knicks can get very tight at home. They're actually a better road team, and they really blew an opportunity last night. If they get tight at home, you want Tom Thibodeau getting tight? Oh, boy.
One thing, he was right about the Warriors mailing that in at the end. You could see Draymond texted his wife at halftime saying, hey, do we have any food in the fridge? I can't wait to get to the couch.
They're door dashing from
and
Minnesota.
I did notice after the last game, there was this video of Steph Curry looking around his home court like it was the last time he was ever going to play there. They all knew they were going home. And I think Jay said they have to start rehab. Like this was not happening this year. That's just a reality. You can blame anybody you want. This was not happening. Sometimes teams lose. So now they regroup and try and figure this out. Now they have a lot of questions. I mean, the discussion should be how do we rebuild this thing, not why did we blow it this year.
Jalen Brunson fouled out twice this season.
Oh, okay. I'm shocked.
I thought actually one of the calls was like, dude, you're going to call that in this game? Like you can put someone in a headlock and they don't call it. And then they were going after Brunson. But I kind of like this theory. I think they want to wrap it up at home.
I don't know. If you watch the Knicks, I don't think that's what they want to do. But I love that Jay thinks New York is. I haven't seen grandmas twerking in a while. But
New York is absolutely lawless, by the way.
But regardless,
you're 12 years old or older, you can buy beer, and everybody.
Yeah, that's part of the charm.
You can walk up to a cop.
Just because the game wasn't at Madison Square Garden, Jay thinks that New York wasn't going to go bananas yesterday. What type of logic is that? They were outside at the Garden. They were outside. There was a watch party yesterday in the rain.
Yeah.
He says they're over celebrating. Like I've seen this town erupt after beating the Hawks in Game 2 of a series you eventually lose. Like he has no idea.
Again, we're starving, so God forbid that we exude ourselves.
It's just funny. It's like a case of Bud Light. I feel like more for a 12-year-old New York City right now. You're probably getting some Four Locos. Those are not exactly street legal.
You could be a 9-year-old child vape a giant hit of weed and blow it in a cop's face, and they would not blink in this city
That's my
anymore.
New York City.
No, I mean, because the cops have real things to deal with.
Yeah, like what? Look at Instagram on their phone?
Wow.
Don't get me started on the state of New York
Put
City.
that out.
Take that,
One
Kathy
thing we
Hope.
learned today. One thing we learned today. Perloff against the NYPD.
This is like when
it's
EJ took on the city of Detroit. I'm not doing
It's
that.
the entire city of New York. All my tax dollars go to nothingness.
By the way,
Nothingness.
Easy is in the chat. He said, I thought Draymond guaranteed a championship this year. Now we're lowering the bars.
Steph Curry got hurt. I think you're underestimating the impact of Steph Curry.
Not underestimating, just saying they couldn't win a freaking game to try to get him back into the series. Anyway, see you guys on the phone.
You don't understand how bad Buddy Hield is normally.
Sixers legend Buddy Hield.
Buddy Hield in Philly.
Bogusch has headlines.
And those headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. The real loser last night is the future Mrs. EJ because she lost one night of vacation because our guy was, quote, locked in for Knicks Celtics last night.
In Mexico.
And now she'll lose a second one because Jalen Brunson choked last night. But he thinks he knows how to avoid that moving forward.
It's just paying attention to details when it comes to preparing for games, making sure our minds are, our heads are right, and we're locked in on a similar goal. And that's what we need in order to beat a team like this. It's a very good team, regardless of who's out there.
In their first game without Jason Tatum, the Celtics rode 34 points from Derrick White and 26 from Jaylen Brown to a 127-102 series-extending win in Boston. Brunson, 22.6 assists before fouling out. He and the Knicks
5 fouls in one quarter.
now host Game 6 tomorrow night.
Nefarious.
And again, there is no Game 6 for the Warriors and T-Wolves. Minnesota, a 121-110 closeout behind 29 points from one-time Knick disappointment, Julius Randle.
I don't really get into the narratives of having something to prove. I think the only thing I want to prove is I'm a winner. Every game I want to try to give my team the best chance to win. That's all I care about. Like I said, we got win number 8. We're looking for number 9, whoever that's going to be against.
That was Randall postgame on TNT. His T-Wolves in their second straight Western Conference final, waiting on the Thunder or Nuggets. Margaret, I've got good news and I got bad news from the NHL.
I will take the bad news.
No, we're going to start positive because that's the way I've ordered the cuts in my script, so stand by.
Look at it all the way across to Draisaitl to the middle. The shot saved by Hill. The rebound, they're jamming away. Scores! The Edmonton Oilers pour off the bench. They win it 1-0 in overtime.
A somewhat subdued Jack Michaels Oilers radio. Edmonton knocking out Vegas 1-0 in Game 5 on that OT goal from Kasperi Kapanen. The Oilers returning to the Western Conference Finals. So Canada can still end its Stanley Cup drought this spring, but the biggest slump on ice might not be busted this year.
Chris Tanev over on that far side. It's chopped away by Luostarine and Lundell. Then a drive. Mikla, and he scores! Nico Mikla! A rocket of a slapper beats Joe Wall, and the Panthers take a 4-0 lead.
Doug Plagans on Panthers radio. Florida scoring for the third time in less than 8 minutes in the second period to blow open Game 5 in Toronto. Florida a 6-1 rout for a 3-2 lead on those Leafs, who have not won the Cup since, 1967?
Yeah, this is not good for my slump buster, drought busters. However, you want to know why? It's because the Winnipeg has really put me in a hole here because Dallas is up 3-1 on that series. So I was hoping Canada wins the Cup. Then all of a sudden everyone has to be on board with me as 2025 being the year of the drought buster / slump buster.
I think the Oilers do the trick, though, big time.
Well, they went to the finals last year, so I'm thinking, they're now my best shot.
Bogusch, as an American hockey fan.
Yes.
Do you kind of enjoy seeing the Canadians not win the Stanley Cup? And do you kind of want this drought to continue?
I don't actively root for the entirety of Canada to lose the Stanley Cup. There are particular teams that I prefer not win it. But if Edmonton wins, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want just name some names.
Oh, well, the Leafs were good on that front, it appears. The Canadiens are long gone. So otherwise, and Ottawa's unimportant to me as an Eastern Conference team, but that's really my own.
Wait, well, the Leafs, it's 3-2. I mean, I know they're going to Florida.
They just lost 6-1 at home.
Well, that means there's a big comeback.
They just no-show the most important game of their season.
Scotiabank Arena, by the way.
Right,
they just nixed Game 5 last night.
All right, hold on.
They want to clinch at home on their second try? What's the logic of this one?
I'm just saying.
Yeah, everybody knows that the Maple Leafs just want to come back to Canada and take
Game
it.
7.
Everyone knows they threw this game,
The owner wants
clearly.
the money to come in so that everybody outside of Scotiabank Arena can go ahead and start twerking with their grandmother.
Drinking their Molson at 11.
Oh, buddy, some PBR. Delicious.
I mean,
Triple
even if it's 3-3, I mean, that fan base is just always on edge, right? They always assume the worst is going to happen.
Well, I mean, you would too.
Yeah, I know. 1967 is a long time.
Toronto sports, eh?
As a Philly fan, it's hard for me to relate.
Moving on, the Baltimore Ravens, Derrick Henry.
It's all right. Raptors are responsible for one of the most brutal moments in 76ers history.
Oh, yeah. The anniversary is actually not too long ago.
It's okay. Let's not make it a Philly-Toronto thing. It's all right.
Yeah, that's a stretch, by the way. You think
First thing that came to mind.
That's a stretch. It's like, it's okay that the Leafs have not won in 60 years because Kawhi came for 1 year and won a title. No,
It was Joel
no, it
Embiid's
doesn't
best
work
shot.
that way. It does not work that way.
Kawhi studied abroad for a year. Won the finals.
It's like, it's our national sport, our national team can't win a title, but we had that random year with Kawhi.
Dr. Naismith was Canadian.
Was an all-time shot.
Did I say
news?
Derrick Henry?
The Blue Jays beat the Phillies in '93 World Series.
Yeah, was that?
That crushed me.
That was like 50 years ago now.
Yeah, that was 30 years ago. That was brutal.
Wait, remind me, you weren't alive in 93, right?
My brother was born in 93.
Your chubby brother?
My fat
Yeah,
brother.
which is, by the way, not even true.
He's chunky.
Because I've seen Manny's brother on Manny's Instagram.
That boy thick.
It's just mean.
How many C's in that thick?
4 of them. 2 squared.
This is my favorite thing. Every time I mention his brother, like, your chubby brother? Yep, that's him.
Honestly, I saw your Instagram and I was like, all right, let me brace myself to see Manny's brother, the whale. And then it was like this regular looking guy.
How'd they get him in the shot?
I'm going to get him a treadmill for his birthday.
Gym membership. Subtle.
Gym membership too much. I'll just get him a treadmill.
But your brother has a career and a wife, so he is winning on that front, right?
I have a career too.
Manny's here.
And I have Jalen Brunson, so same.
It's a crush more. Thank you, Bose. We got to take a quick break. We do have more for you from the schedule release and your phone calls. How did the NFL walk into a controversy last night? That doesn't make any sense. Get to it next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie Perloff Show. Get to the controversy with the schedule release last night. Way to step in it, Colts. Kenny, though, is in Dallas. First things first, Perloff and I disagreeing about the Warriors' exit. Not that they lost, Pearl. I was just surprised and disappointed, more disappointed, that Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, Steve Kerr, these brilliant minds, that they could win a game. You couldn't extend the series to try to get Steph Curry back. You said it was totally predictable.
Well, the T-Wolves did beat a fully loaded Lakers team in 5, too. I actually did. I thought the Lakers were going to win that series.
Yeah, you picked the Lakers to go to the Western Conference Final.
I think that maybe that what you're saying isn't giving them enough credit. They are very tall defensively. It's a bad matchup. I look at the Warriors, and I've done this for about 5 years now. Like, how do they not have a front court? Like, how are they going to play against these Western Conference giants?
Kenny is in Dallas. Yeah. Kenny, you think I'm missing the point on everything. What's up?
Yep, you absolutely got that right. I don't think you understand how Warriors basketball work. What makes Draymond Green so special is that guys his size usually aren't carrying the ball up the floor all the time. And when he does that and you have Steph Curry, it puts an extra shooter on the floor. What that does is you have the best shooter we've ever seen now have space. He also has the highest VO2 max. And so now the defense don't have to chase. They don't have to space the floor. That's why guys like Jimmy Butler now starts getting more looks. Even Kevon Looney starts getting more looks.
Right.
So now that the defense can cheat, they can also play better offense on the other side. Once you take Steph Curry off the floor, it totally disrupts all of that.
Okay,
So
Kenny.
that's how that team works.
I totally understand it, and I get that that's the perfect scenario. But not all the time in sports do you have the perfect thing. And Steph Curry at 37 having a hamstring injury, even though it's the first time he's had that, him getting hurt in the playoffs is not something you could say completely shocked anybody considering his age, and he's actually gotten hurt in the postseason before. So my question is, where's the adjustment, right? Like you just said it yourself. Like it became obvious what the Minnesota Timberwolves could do without Curry there. So where's Kerr? Because to me, this is where Perloff and I disagree, and maybe you do too. You did trade for Jimmy Butler. I never said they could win the series. I'm asking them to win a game. Where's the adjustment? Why wouldn't if you were a Warrior fan, and I don't know if you are, wouldn't you be wondering from your coach, like, what is there no plan B? There's nothing that can change.
Okay, sometimes there is no adjustment. I can give you a perfect example. Yeah. Being down here in Dallas, we tried to play a whole season of football where we didn't have a true linebacker. Remember, we took a safety that was too small and put him at linebacker. There is no adjustment for that. So when Green Bay comes along and wants to run the football at your throat, there's nothing to do because that guy doesn't exist.
Right.
You had Jimmy Butler who was sick. You're acknowledging that, but you're saying it doesn't matter.
Well, he's out there, and he's this is a guy who doesn't have a reputation of fading in the playoffs. He's got a reputation of rising to the occasion, and to be honest, taking a team that was less talented in the Miami Heat to 2 finals.
That's like, Maggie, what you're doing is basically like we married and I get in a car accident and get laid off from my job and you asking me why I'm a deadbeat husband.
Wait, but here's the thing. Jimmy Butler this finals run, by the way, that they went on with the Nuggets didn't happen in 1998. It happened 2 years ago. And the guy barely played this year because he was locked in. He kept getting suspended left and right by the Miami Heat. It's not like yes, I understand he's sick, but also, Kenny, come on. Professional athletes out there with all the, they've got all the resources in the world. Like, I'm asking you to win a game.
I just want to make sure before you get on the phone, I got this straight.
Yeah.
You take the best shooter off the team completely and take the other star and make him sick. And you are still sitting up saying, what have you done for me lately?
I'm asking, can you win a game at home?
Okay,
win a game to extend the series. I never said win the series. And by the way, there have been times when Minnesota, they looked really good in this series. Yeah. Kenny, thank you for the call, dude. That was funny about the car accident, laid off on the job. But here's the thing. It's like you are giving me the Timberwolves, who we've seen have a bad season by their standards.
Right.
No one was thinking they're a championship team. Now maybe they are, but no one was saying that even 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but they were clearly, after the Lakers series, viewed differently, but go ahead.
Sure, that's fine, but there were excuses we could have made for the Lakers also.
Yeah.
And I think you did. And you're asking, and you're saying that this T-Wolves team, who you don't like their coach, you think Gobert's a stiff, they were inconsistent, Randall is not known as a postseason player, we were all supposed to know that they were going to whitewash the Warriors? You're Monday morning quarterback in this thing.
Everybody except you, when Curry got hurt, knew that series was over.
You said that it wasn't over.
Well, I thought Curry could get back.
And all they needed to do was win one game where they had 2 home games.
Well, it turned out Curry wasn't even close.
Well, I mean, maybe he would have played Game 6.
I don't think so.
They said he worked out and he felt good.
He worked out, but he said he couldn't even run, though. Well, I don't even think he was close. And they were not going to risk it in a year where they knew they weren't going to win the title. So it became very clear.
Well, you're acting like you know, but we don't know.
I'm saying it looked like Curry was resigned to his fate.
Yeah, once they're losing by 15.
Yeah, but
in the game last night, everyone's face, they look like their dogs died. Obviously, their season's about to end.
You were saying things like, where is Draymond Green? Draymond Green only functions in one specific area. Like, as Kenny pointed out, you take Draymond Green away from Steph Curry, he's a 10th guy on a team.
Draymond with the combination of Jimmy, with the combination of Steve Kerr.
Yeah, that is a 5-game below 500 team.
And the Warriors are more sunk than we think. Andrea is in Berkeley. Andrea, thank you for the call.
Yes, thank you for your show.
We only have a few minutes, but I know, or a few seconds rather, I'm sorry. We're up against the top of the hour. But what do you have on the Steph Curry stars chart?
Yes, happy to share. Steph was born March 14, 1988, 1:51 p.m., Akron, Ohio, actually in the same hospital as LeBron James. But that said, Saturn is in Pisces by transit, and it rules the skeletal system, bones, knees, teeth, joints. So he had a rather injury-prone season, the hamstring. So basically, the good news is it happens once every 29 years. The bad news is it happened during the playoffs.
Wait, you said it was Saturn and Pisces? Is that what it is?
Yes, correct. Transiting Saturn in Pisces conjunct his sun in Pisces. And Saturn rules the skeletal system. So if you get a Saturn transit, you have to be very mindful and super careful of bones, knees, teeth, joints, and already being an athlete under a lot of duress.
A lot of stress. See, Andrew, this is what I don't understand. You know, you're so good at this, and you do such a great job, and thank you for adding to the show. People need to call her before the series starts, like before the playoffs. Like teams, like Mike Dunleavy. Say, what should we be looking out for? It's like, well, Saturn's in Pisces, and everyone knows that rules the skeletal system. So drink your milk, everyone. Coming up, NFL schedule release. What do we take away?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining.
Let's go Knicks! Let's go baby! Yeah! Oh! Yeah! Let's go Knicks! Let's go baby! Yeah! Yeah! Let's go Knicks! Let's go baby! Yeah! Oh! Yeah! Let's go Knicks! Let's go baby!
And in a midnight glow, watched that queen my pick on the TV show. Thought they left out all the dark and dirty roads. Skipped the fights, the tears, the heavy loads. She said, I love that man, but they sold him too easy. Miss the scars and the nights that made him believe me. Hey, Maggie Gray's got a bone to pick. Says the story's rough around the edges and slick. Where's the thunder, where's the pain? Where's the fire that built the man's name? Let's sing loud for the fight he braved. Maggie Gray hates the fire pit, the soft paved. Down.
Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Okay, NFL schedule is out. Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray and Perloff got some big takeaways for you. Number one, there actually was a controversy that happened, which is like bizarre. Only the NFL can step in doo-doo somehow with the schedule release, which is fun and exciting. But every social media team is trying to top each other with these cool schedule release videos. And apparently the Colts took it a little too far.
Well, are you surprised? The level of artistry that is now needed to release your 17 games is insane. I mean, you have to do a mini short film that is Oscar worthy. So, of course, you know, when you do art, you're going to get close to the line. It is insane. The level of production doesn't surprise me at all. They ran into controversy because you have to be so interesting to break through now.
Yeah, but the thing is, it doesn't mean anything. Like to me, it's a waste of resources. It's fun for the consumer, and that's all great, and it was interesting to go back through. But like, it's such a gigantic waste of time, effort, and money because that leads to nothing in terms of your win-loss record, how people feel about your team. Like the Titans have been putting out gems, just gold, and they can't win jack.
Well. What else are you going to do in an NFL building in May? Watch the rookies play in shorts? There's nothing. There's hundreds of people work for these teams, and there's 6 months of offseason. You got to give them something to do. And second of all, it is good branding. You know, it's actually pretty important. You think about it, it's free advertising. That's why you do it.
Yeah, the NFL's really hurting for attention. But here's what happened. The Colts put out a Minecraft-themed video. They weren't the only ones. The Chargers also did it. And the Chargers one was spectacular. I'm not even a Minecraft person. It kind of made me want to go see the movie. But they put some things in it that seemed a little, like Perloff said, up to the line, which is one instance where Tyreek Hill is getting arrested by the Coast Guard because they play the Dolphins.
Oh, my God. I did not see that.
Yeah, another one. Yeah.
Wait, is there anything else besides that? That's the one that's getting all the attention.
Now, I don't know what this statement means because, again, I'm not a Minecraft person, but apparently there's something called you can become a chicken jockey. Can anyone help me with this?
Yes
Danny?
and no. I mean, I've heard a couple of things that I think are derogatory, but I mean, it's not. I'm not too familiar, but I do know that that's something that's been trending among the youth.
Right. So I don't even feel right saying it because I don't even know what it means. It's something with Minecraft where somebody is literally like riding a chicken. I don't know, but they did this with regards to Kyler Murray, and then they had Patrick Mahomes as a frog jumps into a boxing ring to stop a fight between Pat Mahomes Sr. and John Rocker. If we remember that stupid story that ended up, it would have been a violation of Pat Mahomes Sr.'s parole, so he and John Rocker could not, in fact, do a celebrity boxing match.
Oh.
Do we all remember that fun?
Oh, sure.
24 hours. So they deleted it. So the Colts took it down.
I think it was a Tyreek Hill thing.
I don't know. It could have been any one of these things. They basically glazed over everything.
By the way, I think the Chargers had the Ian Rappaport, Jordan Schultz fight at the
as
Combine.
Minecraft,
that was amazing.
which was beautiful.
That was amazing.
That was not controversial. That was just funny. These other things are controversial. Anyway, your other big football takeaway from the schedule release was what? Or do you want me to go first?
Well, you could go first. I think we're probably in lockstep on coming away from that game, it's like, oh my God, these teams have crazy roads ahead.
Yeah, no, for sure. My biggest takeaway from the schedule was it feels to me like the NFL is making a pretty big bet here on the Minnesota Vikings. And I understand that the Vikings were a really good team last year, but with a quarterback who has never taken a snap in the NFL before, and also a guy who, is coming off of an injury. They didn't sign Aaron Rodgers, so it's not like that. I thought they had a surprising amount of standalone games. Now, I know that the Europe games don't necessarily count as primetime, but you are standalone, so
they're almost sub games, though, because they're before the other games. They're the opposite of primetime. I mean, it's usually like, the Jags and the whatever team is going to give us a 19-13 thriller in Wembley.
Yeah. I'm just saying they're front and center. It's as far as not being all just 1:00 Eastern games. So the Vikings starting with the Bears Monday night, then the Falcons on Sunday night. So your first two games out of the gate are primetime. They are going to play a game in Dublin against the Steelers. Then they stay in Europe to play against the Browns. Then they're bye. They get the Chargers on Thursday Night Football in Week 8. Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, Week 15. And then they're on Christmas against the Lions. So it's just, to me, felt like, wow, the Vikings are really going to be on our TV quite a bit as standalone games with a rookie quarterback, not a rookie, but his first year as starter. I thought was surprising to me.
Right. I mean, for example, they're playing the Browns in London. Do you think that that's a showcase game?
Well, we'll see if Shador's starting. Everyone's going to be watching it, but I don't know.
I mean, that's the least buzzworthy team in the league, kind of, or one of the least. I think the Vikings are going to be good. Like, why do you think the Vikings are going to fall off? They remind me a little bit of the Niners. Like, there's so many pieces around the quarterback. How good does J.J. McCarthy have to be? He's throwing to Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson. They still have Aaron Jones. They address their biggest weakness, the offensive line, and they still have an elite defensive coach there. I can't imagine them falling off too far. I mean, last year it was an easy schedule. They won 14 games. It gets way harder for the entire NFC North this year.
Yeah.
But I think they're right there. I bet you're going to hear some Vikings Super Bowl buzz, as a matter of fact.
Really? Even with J.J. McCarthy as being such a wild card?
He's a wild card, but it is a league where second-year quarterbacks thrive. I mean, historically. Again, he was injured all last year, but generally that's when you used to see it, sometimes the second or third, but a lot of times it used to be the second-year quarterback would win the MVP. Mahomes, I can't remember. There was a bunch of second-year quarterbacks because they're on their rookie deal, so they loaded up around him. I mean, again, it reminds me a little bit of Michigan. Like, J.J. McCarthy doesn't have to do much.
Yeah, it's just funny to me because
Hey, they had Sam Darnold last year, Maggie. They won 14 games.
I know, but Darnold, and I'm no big Darnold fan, but he at least been in the NFL and been a starter. He had a lot of games under his belt as a starter. J.J. McCarthy, also not known for being a thrower when he was in college, won a national championship in Michigan, but was not what Patrick Mahomes was doing at Texas Tech. You know, it was just a little bit different. And I'll remind you, yes, last year was great with the Vikings, and what was it, 3 years ago with Kirk Cousins when they made the playoffs. But in a year when Cousins got hurt and tore the Achilles, then it was Mullins and it was Josh Dobbs, and they didn't win. So it's not just as easy as saying, oh, I can put anyone in there and we're going to make the playoffs, because they had to do that 2 years ago and it didn't work. Yeah,
I could be dead wrong about this. I would be very careful about underestimating this Vikings team. I think, obviously, we saw what happened in the year. Darnold, everyone said, Darnold became the old Darnold, but it was really because he was getting so much pressure, especially up the middle. They addressed that in free agency in the draft. They got a kid out of Ohio State, Donovan Jackson, that apparently everybody was trying to trade up for. Not that we know anything about that.
Yeah.
So I think it also, they're indoors. They have Justin Jefferson. I don't see them the same way. I think they're actually could even be, in a weird way, better than last year when they won 14 games. They won't win as many games, but they won 14 games and were not a threat at all. They fell apart toward the end of last year. I have a lot more faith in them. Can I say my team that I think you should really worry about another NFC North team? And okay. I think the Detroit Lions lost both coordinators, where the Vikings did not. That's why. And now all of a sudden, you look at their schedule: at Green Bay, home Chicago, at Baltimore, and then in Week 5 at Cincinnati. At the Chiefs. Keep going. Yeah, at the Chiefs. What is common of all those opponents? What is the one thing that is different than last year?
They're on the road?
They're outside.
Oh, okay.
Last year, they only had, I think, 2 outside games. Jared Goff's incredible with a roof over his head.
Yeah. Well, it can't be 2 because they play We know they play Green Bay, and we know they play Chicago outside.
Last year, it was very few. So basically, you're setting him outside 7 times I saw on the road.
At least that's early. It's not cold.
It's
to be at Green Bay in week 1, it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, it's just something about even if it is beautiful, I just think that this is not ideal Jared Goff situation. I think the Lions come down to earth. I think they're going to miss Ben Johnson terribly.
Get the out of here,
I still
Detroit!
like them. They have my favorite player in the league, Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
And they have Aiden Hutchinson coming back. I just think you're going to hear less and less buzz about them coming into the season. Last year, they were a popular Super Bowl pick. I think it'd be smart to fade them this year.
Lions have 11 games against playoff teams from last year. That's tied with the Eagles for the most in the NFL. So they've obviously got that really hard schedule for being so successful last year.
Yeah, the whole NFC North gets kind of screwed. The Bears, your Bears, who you're excited about, they have a tough schedule too.
Well, I'm fading Ben Johnson because everyone can't stop telling me how he's going to be fitted for a gold jacket in Canton. I want to see a guy coach in the NFL first.
I remember that take.
I mean, listen, I know it upset the Bears fans, but to be honest, like he could end up being the next whoever, Bill Walsh, but
Kyle Shanahan.
That's fine. But he's not in that tree, but he could end up being that next guy. But can I watch him coach for a minute with some pretty big expectations? And the Bears have a lot of primetime games as well.
Yeah, the Bears have a tough schedule. The whole NFC North, because they have to play each other, has a very tough schedule. It's interesting. The Texans will probably, they don't even have to bring it, and they're going to win the AFC South. To come out of the NFC North is an incredible accomplishment. I wonder if it gets you beat up too, because all 4 teams are legit in my mind. There's not really, I guess the Bears are the weak link, but it ain't that weak. They really address their needs as well this offseason.
Yeah, and that's again why I'm like, wow, the Vikings are great, but it's a big question mark to me at quarterback. And just one more thing about the Vikings. Again, I said one of my big takeaways, I'm surprised it seems like the NFL is really betting big that the Vikings are going to be a contender. Can I just give you their bye week after they do play that Browns game in London, which you're right, that's not exactly, marquee. But after that bye, this is the Vikings. They play your Eagles. They're at the Chargers on a Thursday night, then at the Lions, Ravens, Bears, at Packers, at Seahawks, Commanders, at Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. It's a tough stretch. Very tough, especially for a rookie QB. 888-710-4ISN. So this is one of those things where we're going to try to get to all the teams and break down the schedule. But if you want to talk about your team, if there's something specifically that you like, didn't like, you were surprised by, you can call us up and let us know, and we'll make sure to touch on that for you. Obviously, the Dallas Cowboys, Kansas City Chiefs are 2 other teams that got a lot of attention because they're going to be, Dallas at least, opening night against your Eagles, Thanksgiving, of course, and Christmas. Only it looks like the Green Bay Packers of 2011 ever had that trifecta.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've argued a lot about this. It didn't seem to kill everybody last year to have these erratic schedules. For some reason, and I think that everyone panics when a team gets Chiefs have a lot of Thursdays this year. I think the players still.
And the Cowboys have 4 Thursdays.
Yeah. Oh, is it one of the
Cowboys have 4 Thursdays. That's the most. No one's ever had 4 Thursdays.
Chiefs have multiple ones too.
Well, it's because Christmas is on a Thursday this year.
Yeah. So, and they play Thanksgiving, so that's 2 off the bat. Funny thing is, the players love those. They love, it's like a mini bye in the middle of the season. Ross Tucker always said that, and I know you don't totally believe him, the former NFL player who's on the radio. I really believe this Thursday thing. Like, players don't view it the same way we do. We're like, oh, my God, it's going to be so sloppy. They get to go to Cancun for a weekend. I think it's a little recharge.
Maybe your Philadelphia Eagles, the only not playing on 2 days of the week this year. So the Eagles are playing on every day of the week except for Tuesday and Wednesday because you're playing Sunday, obviously, Monday, Thursday, Friday, because they're playing the Black Friday game, and Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, after they went to Brazil and won the Super Bowl last year, so I have no worries. Doesn't bother me at all. And all these, and the other thing too, we're talking about like runs towards the end of the season. If a team falls apart, it's really hard to predict what teams are going to be like between 12 and 17. So I honestly feel like because there's always turnover at the playoff teams. Like, they might look hard now. I don't think all these schedules are going to be as hard come November.
Well, you never know with injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah, and teams are going to fall off just by nature. And it's in the NFL right now with a 18-game schedule. If you're not in strong position by November, you're going to start to maybe not rest guys, but you're not going to give your A effort.
So coming up later in the show, Onnie Bose is going to join us, who makes the schedule or is one of the key people in the NFL. Not just one person makes the schedule, but he's one of the key people in the room, and he's been doing this for a long time. One of the questions I have for him is about the Steelers. So the Steelers schedule, they obviously start at the Jets, which is a funny game if Rodgers is actually on the team for the Steelers, right? And the NFL loves doing this stuff, like a little wink, a little storyline, stuff like that. But you also have a lot of primetime games for the Steelers. So they get a Thursday night at the Bengals, back-to-back with a Sunday night against Green Bay, at the Chargers on a Sunday night. They get a Dolphins on a Monday Night Football. They are playing in Dublin against the Vikings. So that's a standalone, even though it's not a primetime. Do the Steelers, because of their fan base, do they just garner that many prime times, or do you think the league office has an inkling that Rodgers is going to be there, which makes it a little more compelling?
Honestly, they had 4 last year when it was just Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, and that was okay. I think the Steelers are always going to – I don't think they're scared that Rodgers won't come there because they're Steelers. They play through generations and generations. The other thing, too, the league knows they're going to be good. Right, even
because they're always in contention. I don't know if they're good, but they're always right there.
Mason Rudolph will probably bring them to 9-8. That would be the most predictable thing. Like Mason Rudolph has an above 500 record in Pittsburgh. They're not going to. If I'm looking at the schedule, and if you don't know if Rodgers is going to go there, at least the bottom is not that far. Like they're not going to be 1-16. Mike Tomlin always brings his team to respectability. So what's the risk here? Even if it's Mason Rudolph, they'll probably be 6-4 and playing for AFC playoff spots. They'll probably be a wild card team. Will get killed in the first round. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the Steelers. I'm not feeling great about it. And I'm not saying because they traded Pickens. I was interested in that quarterback battle. And I was like, man, maybe Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, it was so cheap to get them. It did cost them a lot. It felt like it could have gone either way. And now, I'm sorry, I just am not as excited about Mason Rudolph.
We do not care.
That's fair, Coach.
I mean, you start out, it'll probably be Rodgers.
I think so, too.
All the indications are it's going to be Aaron Rodgers.
I know, but then, so I'm interested in that, but more like is this going to be a train wreck situation, not in wow, does Rodgers have a chance to take them to the Super Bowls?
Well, they had, they could have given him 5 or 6. If Rodgers was there, last year the Jets got 6 with Rodgers.
Yeah.
And he was coming off an Achilles tear. So if they really were 100% sure Rodgers was going to be there, they would have given them more than 4. But, the top teams get 5 at minimum, 6 and 7 for the Cowboys and Chiefs. So I think 4 was a safe middle bet, right? Like, how far are the Steelers going to fall? They're still going to be one of the most popular teams.
Yeah, just not as interesting to me if it's Mason Rudolph throwing to DK Metcalf.
Yeah, but maybe not to you, but generally, like the Steelers fans exist everywhere. And what's the big deal? What's the difference between Russell Wilson and Mason Rudolph? Barely anything right now.
Can we cut this and save it for when we have to come in on a Monday morning or Tuesday morning or Friday after the Pittsburgh Steelers have had a primetime game, and Perloff is going to complain about having to watch that dreadful offense on TV. And you're going to say it was a waste of time. I know the fan base is huge.
But it's the same every year.
I know. And you're going to complain about it.
Ben got old. But I actually, the one thing you're forgetting is my love for backup quarterbacks. And Mason Rudolph, you're wildly underrating this dude. Watch him be this year's who's a quarterback who went 9-8 and lost in the wild card round. Watch him be this year's Sam Darnold. I mean, the Steelers are inevitable. They're like Thanos, Maggie. They are going to have a winning record. Just accept it. Just accept that Mason Rudolph, there's going to be a week where they run for 250 yards and their defense has 3 turnovers and you're squinting and be like, oh, I can see the Steelers. And then what's going to happen? It's happened 8 years in a row.
I thought it's Will Howard time. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Okay, again, we're going to try to get to everything with the schedule, things we thought were interesting, noteworthy. But if you want to talk about your team, let us know, and we're happy to talk about it. Coming up, we do have a disappointing exit for one team we thought could have been a championship hopeful just 2 weeks ago.
The Giants.
It's M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes, up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam, just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Wait, are we listening to Queen or are we listening to Vanilla Ice?
Or neither.
Ice Ice Baby.
Oh, it's Vanilla Ice.
The instrumental?
Well, I think we're just playing the lead-in. Do you have? I assume you have it memorized.
Yeah, I would have thought that Ice would have dropped in by now.
Well, you know when he comes in.
Go ahead, Vanilla Ice.
Because you got to stop, collaborate, and listen.
Come on, Bogues. Go ahead. You know the bars.
Stop, collaborate, and listen.
No, we're not there yet.
Oh, well, that's all.
Brand new edition. Something grabs a hold of me. No, we're off still.
That's probably a good thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Before we move on, by the way, I got this quote from Steve Kerr that I want to read for Maggie.
Sure. Because I've got a quote for you, too.
Oh, yes.
Steve Kerr, Maggie's been killing the Warriors and Jimmy Butler for not showing up.
Yeah.
He said, if Curry had not gotten hurt, I don't even have to think what if. I know we had a shot. I know we could have gone the distance. Maybe we wouldn't have, but it doesn't matter. Again, everything in the playoffs is about who stays healthy and who gets hot. Are you playing well at the right time? So basically, Steve Kerr is saying, what did you expect from us? Steph Curry got hurt. And I think that is the most sensible take on this, where you disagree.
Well, listen, and you have 4 titles as a coach, and so you can say something like that, and maybe the fan base won't be ticked off about it, but
the fan base cannot possibly be ticked off about this. I'm not seeing any mad Warriors fans. The second Curry got hurt, they all gave up, I assume.
Well, that's not great because there was a shot he was coming back.
He is one of the top 5 players in NBA history, and he pulled his hamstring.
Okay, but
we know what a hamstring injury means. It never really heals.
Okay, I understand that, but it wasn't Jason Tatum's injury where 24 hours later, the first photo we get is him post-op in a boot, and he's now got Achilles surgery that he's got to respond from and rehab from. There was... And we can only go by what was coming out of Golden State. An optimism that he could have returned if they could have just won one game and extended this series.
I bought into that optimism, but that faded throughout the series because he looked very comfortable in street clothes, and he wasn't getting that close.
So I'll give you a quote here, and this is from Marcus Thompson, who covers the team for The Athletic. 4 months ago, the Warriors were clinging desperately to a play-in spot. Now, this is from 4 days ago. Now a path to a 5th championship of the era is glowing like a runway. Talking about how the Cavs were, at this point when he wrote this article, how the Cavs...
You said 4 days ago.
This was...
But Curry's been hurt a lot longer than that.
From May 13th. I'm sorry, 2 days ago he wrote this.
He thought with Steph Curry... Okay,
and
go
he's
ahead.
right next to the team, covering them every second. Now a path to a 5th championship of the era is glowing like a runway. His next line, but Curry can't take off. Okay, so he's acknowledging, obviously, that the Curry injury changes it. But setting up how the playoffs, and this is could have been breaking right, that the fact that Oklahoma City doesn't look completely invincible. Denver doesn't look invincible. The Celtics, we saw, just are up against it. Cavs just lost.
Yep.
So I don't want to hear now that the Warriors were just this hapless, floundering G League collection of losers when 2 days ago there was an acknowledgement that things could have been breaking right for them to actually win a title. I'm asking them to win a game, and that's why I was disappointed.
Marcus Thompson saying the exact same thing that Steve Kerr said. We could have won a title if Steph Curry was healthy. Yes, I know.
And they could
win
a game, and they could even win a game to extend the series to see if Curry could have come back to give them anything.
Yeah.
That's disappointing. Forgive me if it's professional sports. Guys are making $50 million. You got playoff Jimmy, and heaven forbid I want to hold them to a standard of beating the Timberwolves one time on their home floor.
I think you're way overestimating a 35-year-old Jimmy Butler. Again, there was a reason he was available. I mean, that playoff Jimmy is 33-year-old Jimmy in the Eastern Conference. It ain't beating the T-Wolves. I mean, and by the way, I think you're denigrating the T-Wolves too much. I think, again, I said coming this series, they are wildly unpredictable. They can outplay anybody in the league.
And they can lose
so
anybody.
much size and so much talent. There's just no way on paper. Kerr knew it. Draymond Green knew it. Everyone knew it, except you and Marcus Thompson, I guess, that they had no chance without Curry. He's an all-time player. It's the same as losing LeBron, a prime LeBron. It's like the Cavs were not winning a title with LeBron on the bench. That was not going to happen.
They took a game, though, off of Minnesota. You're acting like Minnesota is this sure thing when you're not even saying that it's a sure thing they'll get to the finals.
No, definitely not. But it's a sure thing to beat, Buddy Hield and Trace Jackson Davis, yeah, that's a sure thing.
Well,
the truth.
I mean, it was disappointing that Curry didn't respond faster. But without Curry, this team has no prayer whatsoever.
Let's go to Rich in California. What's up, Rich?
Yeah, I think Butler gets an incredibly large amount of blame, which is not his fault. I think if you looked at the Warriors, you would have realized that all you had to have done to shut them down was to find a way to shut down Butler, shut down Draymond, who is not a particularly offensive-oriented ball player, and find a way to shut down Curry. The fact of the matter is Houston damn near did it. If they would have gotten to the point where they got past Minnesota, I don't think they were going any farther. The problem was the Warriors, when they played well, had a really, really solid bench. These guys that they have now aren't that terribly solid, and Buddy Hield, he might get hot, but he doesn't impress me a whole hell of a lot, or neither does Podziemski, who threw up more bricks than a barbecue.
Well, here's the thing, though. You're saying that I know that it took them 7 games against the Rockets, but you're talking about Buddy Hield throwing up bricks. One of the big reasons why they even won that Game 7 on the road. Buddy Hield's 33 points in that game. So guys were stepping up, and obviously Curry was healthy at that point. I know it all changes. I just think the pass on Butler for this is wild to me.
Well, the point is, what you're talking about is the difference between regular season and playoffs.
Yeah, Jimmy gets better in the playoffs. That's why he has the nickname Playoff Jimmy.
Well, that may be all well and that may be all good, but what they needed was somebody who could put a three-pointer in the basket.
Well, they went cold.
They seem to have a whole bunch of guys who could clank the rim really, really well. The fact of the matter is they did not have enough personnel to get any far. In fact, I would suggest to you that they got about as far as they were going to get one way or the other.
Well, that's not what Kerr says. Rich, thank you for the call. Kerr's saying if Curry was healthy, they could have won a title.
He said could have. There was a shot. Yes, he kind of implied if everything broke right, you never know. They were clearly not the favorite. But yes, the West is a bit of a mess because Denver's too thin. Oklahoma City Thunder look immature. And the T-Wolves, you'd have no idea. The T-Wolves are like a box of chocolates. I'm quoting Forrest Gump here. You have no idea what T-Wolves team is going to show up. And the T-Wolves, the fact that they have nobody inside, like the Warriors, I hate to say this, they need an Andrew Bogut so badly. And they know this. They've been talking about it for 4 years. They need somebody to protect the rim. Julius Randle was just doing whatever he wanted. And I don't even think he's that great a player. He looked like a top 50 all-time player this series. So, I don't know. I mean, when Curry, you say this now, like you should have said when Curry went down, I expect Jimmy Butler to step up.
I did. I was crushing Butler.
There's just no way against that team. I mean, even if he was lucky enough to beat his elite defender on the wing, he was going against 3 other tall guys, and it just was not set up for him at all. And again, Buddy Hield, really, Maggie? That's who you're relying on? Do you know how many teams he's played on?
Listen, but I said Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, Steve Kerr, can't figure anything out. I'm not expecting Draymond to become this offensive juggernaut. I understand that. I get how the Warriors play. I said win a game to see if Steph Curry could come back. They couldn't do that. Andrew Bogusch is here with all the latest headlines. What's up?
Let's stick with those Warriors. Their season on the line. Steph Curry may be looming in Game 6. They fell into a 25-point hole last night in Minnesota. They closed to within 9 in the fourth. But the T-Wolves had Anthony Edwards.
Crowd trying to get the Wolves going here in the fourth. They able to pull up left side 3, rattles that one in. That's big time. It's a big time answer. Back to a 12-point lead, but the work is not done.
Alan Horton on T-Wolves Radio. Edwards and company eventually finished off a 121-110 clincher and finishing with 22 points and 12 assists, while Julius Randle scored 29. The aforementioned Jimmy Butler had just 17 points. Brandon Podziemski and Jonathan Kuminga, as you'd like, were the Dubs' leading scorers with, again, their season on the line last night. The Celtics are alive and maybe well. A 127-102 rout of the Knicks to force Game 6 at MSG tomorrow night. Derrick White, 7 threes, 34 points without Jason Tatum.
Seeing him go down was tough, but we got a lot of guys out here that are highly competitive, and we didn't want our season to end tonight. So just going out there, competing. We said after Game 4, we just got one Game 5, and now we got to move on to try to find a way to win Game 6.
I know. Wait, I'm sorry. Can I just bring this up because everyone's killing me because I'm killing the Warriors that they couldn't win a game? What did the Boston Celtics do last night?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, their best player is down. And, yeah, you have Jaylen Brown, but...
You have Jaylen Brown. You have an Olympian in Derrick White. You have...
Draymond Green's also on that Olympic team.
You have 2 Olympians.
And Steve Kerr coached that Olympic team. And you're telling me Draymond and Jaylen Brown has a knee injury, and the person who actually won the game last night, outside of Derrick White, who was very good, Luke Cornett.
Don't.
I'm sorry, Manny. It has to be said.
Earmuffs, Manny.
Because this was the Celtics actually winning a game. Does anyone think they're going to win the series? No. But if Jason Tatum somehow could have come back, they just did their job. The rest of the guys picked up the slack when they couldn't hit the ocean from the beach. So why am I all of a sudden giving the Warriors a pass
because
on
the
this?
Celtics team is so much more talented than the Warriors. And in fact, they look way better because they weren't just standing around watching Jason Tatum shoot. I mean, they
Pearl,
the
you've been
Celtics
killing Al
have
Horford.
Stars up and down this lineup.
Yeah. You've been killing Al Horford. You've been killing
Porzingis. Right. By the way, the Knicks
Porzingis couldn't even play in the second half, by the way.
The Knicks were in shock to see a non-stiff at center. That's what. First of all, Luke Cornett.
It's Luke Cornett.
Yes, who is at least alive.
G-League.
You're talking yourself into Luke Cornett right now?
Oh, my God. By the way, I should have said it. I'm like, they got to pull Horford out of defensively and put Cornett in there because Cornett's fine. At least he's not 45 years old like Al Horford. Like, that was the major difference in that game. He was plus 20 in 20 minutes last night.
They allowed Luke Cornett to look like Dikembe Mutombo.
Right, because they were so used to going against Al Horford, who is worse than basically putting Andrew Bogusch at 5 in an NBA
Slow
game.
down.
Hey, now.
Last hour, you were saying that the Knicks lost on purpose to win Game 6 at home.
I didn't say that. A caller said that.
And you agree with it.
Yeah, I love that theory. But I got to tell you, Cornett's a problem because he's not terrible. He's a problem. He's a big problem.
I've agreed with you most of this morning.
And you said Joe Mazzulla's in a coma.
Right.
Okay?
What's he doing there?
He should have put in. You couldn't see. Like, you don't think Jalen Brunson's eyes get huge when he saw Al Horford or Porzingis on defense? And he's like, well, who's this guy? He's actually awake.
Right. And I'm telling you, they should have had Kuminga and they should have had Trace Jackson Davis be any part of this team before they absolutely needed them in the biggest games of the year. Same stuff is happening with Boston. Yeah. Boston found a way to win a game. The Warriors did have games at home. I know last night was on the road. They did have games at home. They couldn't win a game.
Maggie, this is a total misread. The talent level in Boston is so much higher. So much higher.
The other pieces in Boston are just so much better than the ones in San Francisco.
And are they healthy? I give you, because Jimmy Butler's sick, Porzingis is sick, Jaylen Brown's got a knee injury.
I mean, look at this.
They just lost their best player.
I would rather take a hampered version of all. I would rather take a hampered, injured version of all of those dudes than any of the healthy dudes in Golden State.
But I still think it's fair to ask for one Jimmy Butler explosion to win a game to get the Game 6. I think is the beginning of your point,
this
right?
This is my only point. I never said they'd win the title or win the series. Can you win a game to get Steph Curry back on the floor?
I think this. First of all, this Celtics
they lost
team
4 in a row.
Probably would not beat the Timberwolves. I mean, the Knicks are probably not as good as the Western Conference teams.
Let's go, Knicks!
I think the Knicks, if the Knicks make the finals, I think they lose in 5.
And maybe they lose Game 6 with Curry on one leg. But
but at least you see it.
Maggie's not wrong, and just wondering why Butler couldn't have one immaculate game to win a 3 or 4 at home and make this series go to 6.
Well, I think you guys are both wrong about this Celtics team. Don't they have the 6th man of the year? And
Peyton Pritchard, yes.
Yeah, and then they have the second 6th man of the year.
Which is why they're going to be a Game 7 on Monday night in Boston.
They're just way more talented than this collection of scrubs the Warriors are putting. Now, the Kuminga thing is different because obviously Jimmy and Steph hate Kuminga. That is very
Kerr.
Watch it. It's not Kerr at all. It's Jimmy and Kuminga do not get along. You can just watch them not pass to each other.
Jimmy just got there.
Well, basically, that Curry said to Kerr, "Get this guy off the court."
Okay, but that was happening before Jimmy got there.
Yeah, I know. I'm again. That's why I'm saying Kuminga was not part of this whole.
Well, you never know when you're going to need a guy.
True, but you can't blame anybody here. They're just not, this is not a good enough team. The Celtics are a very, very good team, minus Tatum. They have a lot of guys. A lot of guys.
The Celtics could and I'm not saying this to mess with Manny. The Celtics could legitimately run off 3 straight games with the roster they have right now.
Definitely.
I would not say that about the Warriors, but I still do think that you would have liked them to have one game over the previous 2 in their building with the idea, as slight as it might have been, of Curry playing in Game 6. They all could have shown up, had a game better than expected, and win one, just steal one. They didn't do that.
Two things. I would
say fair
say
criticism.
The T-Wolves' length on defense was obviously a problem. And also, what are you going to do about Superman Julius Randle?
No one's
asking ourselves that.
Felt like a dig at
Never mind.
You're asking how many teams did Buddy Hield play for? How many teams has Julius Randle played for?
But I'm just saying, like, that had nothing to do with Curry being out or Butler not having a big game. When Julius Randle scores that much on you, you're going to lose every game. I mean, so that was the biggest problem.
Yeah, I'll
That's
stand
not
down.
on Butler. Butler wasn't covering Randle. Randle scored 30 points a game in this series.
I know.
How are you going to beat the T-Wolves when that guy is scoring? So the Warriors' problems were pretty deep to me. This Celtics team, you said it too, Maggie. You and I were both on the Celtics yesterday. Yeah.
I think the Knicks are probably going to. The Knicks don't do anything easily. So like a big win for them is like 7 points because they just don't blow people out. It's
why I have anxiety.
Yeah, I mean you have the NBA Finals MVP last year is still out there.
But I think they're going to win this game at the Garden if they don't get tight in front of that crowd. By the way, Chalamet with the sunglasses on, take those off, man.
Did you see the 3 Boston fans right next to the Celtics bench? Stereotypical Bostonian fans.
Yeah. Oh, Portnoy.
No. There were some dudes by the Celtics bench who were rather excited. I mean, go ahead. Your team is beating the living hell out of the Knicks. But, man, they were pretty stereotypical, look like stereotypical Bostonian fans.
Let's not get into stereotypes because there's a lot about New York. Someone called in earlier, Jay, and said our grandmother's twerking in the street, which I didn't even know was a thing that we associated with New York.
You should come on the 1 train in the morning.
Can we just...
Oh, yeah.
I rode the A for many years. Yes.
Point out for anyone who's not watching on our YouTube channel, Infinity Sports Radio Network YouTube.
Nice plug.
Maggie, who's dressed like Brooks Hanlon from Shawshank Redemption, is getting Timothy Chalamet fashion advice.
Yeah, and by the way, I feel like I want a Brooks ending with the way that you guys are defending Jimmy Butler here. Anyway, Bogues, give us one more thing.
Playoff hockey last night. The Oilers are done with the Golden Knights, taking Game 5 in Vegas in overtime 1-0. Stuart Skinner, 24 saves for his second straight shutout. That happened after the Panthers steamrolled the Leafs in Toronto 6-1 for a 3-2 series lead. Now I'm done.
Very good, Bogues. Thank you so much. Coming up, surprise, this headline took us a little bit back, so we'll tell you what's going on. And then top of the hour, Onnie Bose, who's the VP of NFL Broadcasting. He's one of the people integral.
Integral?
Never know.
Integral?
I'm not sure.
He's the dude that's making the schedule.
He's one of the dudes.
One of the dudes who's putting his imprints all over the NFL schedule. So we're so lucky that we get to pick his brain coming up again, top of the hour. Maggie Perloff Show. Let's go.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie Perloff Show. So glad to have you. Very, very busy day. Warriors get bounced in 5 games. Steph Curry never makes it back because the team couldn't extend the series to even give him a shot. So now the Minnesota Timberwolves move on. Not sure who they're going to face yet. Manny ticked off this morning because his Knicks could not finish off the Boston Celtics. Celtics, minus their best player, still found a way to rally to win a game.
I'm still seething.
And now you got the Indiana Pacers get to just sit and wait and rest. And, you know, the Knicks, who have a rotation of about 5.5 guys, now have to play another game before the series starts. What? The Eastern Conference Finals is Monday no matter what, right? Something like that.
By the way, I could see a path, and I'm going to be serious here, where the Celtics win this series. Because
really?
They were really, their offense was ground to a halt with Tatum this series. Like we saw it in the games they lost where he was firing up three-pointer after three-pointer after three-pointer. Last night, it was like smelling salts. They woke up, started passing the ball. They have almost as much talent as the Knicks. I mean, I think their backcourt is, deeper. You get Derrick White, Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard, where the Knicks have, what are the Knicks' advantages? Jalen Brunson is unguardable.
Right.
If you just adjust, I mean, they're so dependent. If Jalen Brunson has a bad night, they're done. So
and he got into foul trouble really early, which is not characteristic of Jalen Brunson.
So maybe, Jalen Brunson, God forbid he twists an ankle or something, Maggie. I think they're just still so dependent. If the Knicks don't have Jalen Brunson in the fourth quarter, they're not beating anybody. So there is a path. I don't think it's anything like the Warriors and the Timberwolves. I don't think there was any path. We've been arguing about it all show.
Yeah.
With Jimmy Butler, there's definitely a path with Boston. I'm not betting on Boston because, let's face it, they have to be up by 60 to feel comfortable.
And even then.
Even last night. Weren't you waiting for the run last night?
I was, although it was different because Brunson fouled out with about 7.5 minutes left to go. Yeah. It was so early, relatively. So the 20-point lead that the Celtics built, it was never in doubt. Because if you don't have Brunson, you don't have your closer. What's that?
Is Tibbs' job on the line if he loses the series?
Get out of here.
Oh, my gosh. If you lose the series after Tatum went out and you were up 3-1, Thibodeau's going to have to answer some major questions. If Brunson's healthy and everything like that, yeah, Andrew's onto something.
Thibodeau's job in trouble. I can't believe that. Really?
If you're up 3-1 on the Celtics and Tatum's in a cast?
I don't know. I mean, fine.
The phone calls will come in, but he won't get fired.
But you would have been just basically at the same place you were last year.
Yeah, but that's Tibbs ends up being, he's a Leon guy, he's a Jalen Brunson guy, he's a Rick Brunson guy. You want to keep those individuals happy. I think Thibodeau is going to stay here even if they choke a 3-1 series lead.
Okay, but
you're a 4 seed who got up 3-1. Three seed who got up 3-1 on the defending champions.
No,
I mean, that's a coaching.
Yeah, and then their best player went out. And you would have allowed the Luke Cornett and company to come back?
If I weren't in this field, I would definitely be one of those people calling local New York saying to fire Tom Thibodeau. I completely see that point.
But he's
the other thing you guys are not.
Yeah. Sorry, you're playing the result, though. He's the same coach, whether they win or lose this game. You're saying, so basically what, if he gets to game 6 of the finals, you're going to fire him? And what point is he safe? He has to get through this round?
Well, I think you have to be. I think the Celtics right now are such a wounded animal without Tatum. Now, you're saying they're better weirdly without him, or the ball's moving more, and the sort of addition by subtraction, you liked what you saw. That is going to be very, very hard questions to answer. How did you, when you're up 3-1 and their best player leaves, how did you blow a 3-1 lead? I think that's tough. It's tough for any coach to blow a 3-1 lead. Even harder to justify when the other team suffers a major setback like that.
But they've been doing it with smoke and mirrors. They were down 20 points. The first team ever to come back from 2 second-half 20-point deficits in game 1 and 2. So
Brunson's been saving his rear end.
It's a bigger story. Honestly, I think Thibodeau should leave if people call it. I think now a lot of teams are interested in him because he's taken a worse team and whooped on the defending champions for the first 4 games.
I don't know. I think that the front office would say, we traded for Karl Anthony Towns. We traded for Bridges.
Is anybody saying that? All the Knicks fans were saying we're about to get swept by the Celtics, including the Knicks fans in this room right now. EJ more than you. EJ gave them no chance.
I gave them no chance either.
And now you're firing the coach.
But this is now their best chance ever.
Yeah, it's their best chance ever. And not only that, you would, if you're talking about the firing Thibodeau aspect of it, you would have looked at the regular season and said, we could never beat these teams. Why can't we beat the teams in the regular season? Then we get this golden opportunity that falls from the sky in our lap. Something breaks right for you, which is the other team suffers an injury. Porzingis can't get his wind. All these things are actually going in your favor. And if you blow a 3-1 lead, I think that's a terrible look.
That's exactly why New York never wins titles. They're so impatient as a sports city. So you're right. Everyone's going to be coming after this poor guy.
Well, they were waiting for it anyway. But here's the thing about, yes, Thibodeau's got all these allies in the building. Yes. GM Leon Rose, Rick Brunson, Jalen's dad is was his first client. Leon Rose's first client, and there's all these connections. James Dolan. Never underestimate the owner coming in and making a decision.
Jimmy and who's kazoo.
Brad's in Oregon. Brad, what's up?
Hey, good morning, guys. Great show as always. Huge Warrior fan going back to Al Attles and Rick Barry and Mullins and everybody. But Maggie, I think you're wrong. I don't think there was any chance Curry coming back. I'm glad we lost 4 in a row. Perloff is 1,000% right. You never really know how long you're going to heal off of pulled hamstring. And if he would have tried to come back a game and really blown it out, now what are you looking at for next year? Just to come back and to win one game to see if you could get him back on the court. To lose the series and take a chance on losing him, how long it was going to take off season. I hope the Warriors put a package together with Kuminga and a couple of players and a draft pick or not, and go after Giannis and get him on the Golden State.
Well, that's what it's going to take, Brad. I don't know if that's a possibility. Seems like a pipe dream. Thank you for the call, though. And somebody who has been a lifer rooting for the Warriors and remembers, yes, the Chris Mullin and some of the great days, but also remembers the Ike Diagu and the Andres Biedrins and all of that, and the low points where the Golden State Warriors were at times a bit of a punchline. I can understand why this has been an all-time run. I mean, an epic run. So yeah, you're really going to kill the team for this exit. What I'm telling you is that you may say now, yes, Curry should have never come back because he could have risked further damage to the hamstring and all that. not what we were saying 48 hours ago.
But
so that's fine if you want to do that now, but that's not what we were saying.
After game one, we weren't saying it, but it was becoming clear based on the reporting by 48 hours ago that Curry was in real trouble. Because he did this workout, and he's like, yeah, I can shoot, I just can't run. I mean, come on. There's no way.
And heaven forbid, one of the best players ever has to be less than 100% playing in a playoff game. We've never seen that before.
The nature of that injury, though,
I get it.
Would be not worth the risk. And by the way, why are you ruling out Giannis? I think Kuminga is a revelation. I think they have to. I think the money's messed up, though. Do they have to? Is he a free agent or something?
So it's a qualifying offer that they can make. So essentially that means you extend the qualifying offer, but a team can match it.
Right. So it's going to be hard to package him for Giannis, but they obviously need a move.
That would have to be Giannis saying, I want to go to Golden State and everyone figure it out, don't you think?
Yes, but...
Because the draft picks and stuff you get back are not going to be good.
But everything I've thought about, the Bucks are going to demand a high price. They're not just going to give him away like
as
Luka
they should.
Yeah, it's not going to be a Luka situation. So I think that San Antonio, Houston, other teams are going to come in with bigger offers. But I was thinking that, wow. The other thing, too, is would Giannis work on the Warriors? That's a big if. Dude can't shoot.
But it's going to take that level of a move, I think.
Yeah, and I think they're going to try and do that, and they have to. Otherwise, it's over.
Although I don't think Durant's coming back. And I wouldn't do that.
Well, he said no during the year, right?
Well, things change. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Talking NFL schedule next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
NFL schedule release. I'm not even apologizing for it. We love it. It's a fun day. I know that things leak out, Perloff drips and drabs, but when you get to see the whole thing and it's your team and you're trying to figure out what games you might want to go to or whatever, I'm not going to apologize for liking it. I know that it's just the schedule. We already know the team's home and away opponents, but it's fun. We like it, and it leads to a lot of interesting conversation.
Was someone criticizing you for being into the NFL? It's America in the year 2025. What else are you going to be into?
No, I know. People are like, well, you already know the opponents. Like, yeah, but I don't know the venue. I don't know the day, and I don't know the travel miles. I don't know the rest days. I mean, there's a lot that goes into this.
Yeah.
And we just get to sit back and be spectators. But our guest this morning is someone who actually has their fingerprints on the NFL schedule. His name is Onnie Bose. He's the VP of NFL broadcasting. And this is your, I don't say Super Bowl, Onnie, because you actually work for the NFL and do the Super Bowl. This is like your Christmas morning, though. Thank you so much. We all get to unwrap these great presents that the NFL gave us. How you feeling this morning?
Feeling great. Thanks for having me on. I always love talking to you guys. I love the intro, the excitement. It's what it's all about. And I think, Maggie, you hit it. You know, the only other analogy for me is that feeling kind of after the Super Bowl when you're riding back to the hotel or walking back in New Orleans this year. Same kind of feeling last night and this morning. Like, okay, we just did something really cool, and love that you guys and everybody listening and people are really interested and excited by it.
Hey, Onnie, how big is the group? And I have a question. It reminds me of finals in college. You work, then you go out and get hammered for one night. Do you and Mike North and the crew, is there a giant party? Are you hungover right now?
I'm feeling okay this morning. I think maybe that's a function of age and wisdom, but a lot of years we'll go out to dinner and have a drink and celebrate. I think in a couple of weeks we'll get the whole team together and appreciate what we've done.
All right, let's dive into this. Onnie Bose is joining us. VP of NFL Broadcasting, is one of the key contributors into making the NFL schedule every year. So a couple big things that jumped out at me. First of all, if anyone was wondering if Dallas is still America's team or if that moniker is waning at all, fear not, because you're going to get a lot of Dallas Cowboys on your primetime. 4 Thursday games, and that's a function of Christmas being on a Thursday this year. We know they're going to be the kickoff against Perloff's Eagles. Then they, of course, have Thanksgiving because it's the Cowboys. They also have Christmas, which I said is on a Thursday. You have Dallas hosting Kansas City on Thanksgiving. I assume you guys are trying to, A, break a record with that one, and 2, the Cowboys, when we thought maybe the interest around them could be waning a little bit, clearly the NFL feels differently.
Yeah, a couple things there. We'll come back to Thanksgiving in a second because I think you hit something there. Interesting one on the 4 Thursdays. I'm not sure I had articulated that to myself, but over the last couple of years, we've seen some quirks with the Chiefs playing, I think, on every day of the week except Tuesday last year. So this year we'll pin it on the Cowboys playing 4 Thursdays. Look, let's start with, yes, they were 7-10 last year, but 12-5 the 3 previous years. They are always, one of our most, teams in most broadcast, national windows. We know that. We know they've got a huge fan base. We know that they deliver an audience. And, the reality is that, Dak Prescott comes back and, but for injuries last year, our expectation is they are a competitive team. The NFC East and the NFC in general is competitive, and they've got great matchups, right? The rotation of the NFC East against the NFC North alone and the division games just means there are games that are going to be attractive and you're going to put them into big windows. And then just coming back quickly on Thanksgiving to what we talked about with the rotation, the AFC North playing the NFC North, the NFC North playing the NFC East. We have a lot of great, interesting matchups with all of those teams who are, those are strong divisions and everything else. One of the effects of that is that, we have great games to populate primetime, doubleheaders, 1 o'clock windows. Thanksgiving is a day where, we know there's a huge audience. The Dallas Thanksgiving Day every year is the biggest viewed game of the year. We had an opportunity this year. We said, in most years, you'd say Kansas City, Dallas has to be somewhere in a key window that has to, anchor one of the packages. We had the luxury perhaps this year of saying, you know what, we could put this game on Thanksgiving, and it's two of our biggest brands in the most watched window. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what the viewership is that day.
Onnie, you mentioned Dak Prescott coming back. How much actual football analysis does your office have to do? Like, do you have to look at different depth charts, who they got in the draft, who they got in free agency? How does the NFL view that? Do they get help from the outside, from other kinds of football people? Like, is your office pouring through, hey, we got this special team guy in San Francisco? How much football analysis goes into this project?
Probably not to that level of depth, but, at one level, we're fans, we're around the game. We work in the office, obviously. Our football operations department has a lot of analytics. We'll talk to them, more probably about competitive issues and what does the data say about certain things. But yeah, look, we want to be informed. We want to understand, we look at free agency, we look at the draft, we look at the impact of that. A lot of it's not down to that level and really analyzing deep into the second and third levels of the depth chart. But, you're going to look at teams that you think have improved. Probably more than anything, it's teams that last year came off good seasons. So Washington, Denver, playoff teams, or, with Washington's case, unexpectedly deep into the championship games. We're going to come back. And if you feel like those rosters are stable or better, you're going to count on them the following year.
No, I want to ask about two specific teams that have a lot of primetime games. Maggie was wondering about the Vikings. It seems like you're taking a big risk on a second-year quarterback in J.J. McCarthy who hasn't started yet. And I'm surprised that the Dolphins are still sticky at the number of primetime games, even though they missed the playoffs last year. How do you view those two markets?
Yeah, let's start with Minnesota. Obviously, great record last year and coming down to game 272 against the Lions. So it's a great story. Yeah, look, we talk about that, right? Obviously, JJ is an unknown and there's a story there, the national championship quarterback and everything else. So there'll be interest. Our expectation is that they'll be competitive. Will they be, 14-3 or whatever they were last year? Hard to say, but we think that the North, top to south, is going to be a competitive division. And when you play those other teams and you play the NFC East, those are games that are going to be attractive and are going to fall into those windows. And I think the Dolphins, to some degree, again, the matchups, and I'm just scanning over here quickly, looking at, when they play Buffalo, when they play Baltimore, when they play Cincinnati, those are games that are going to be interesting. So are they, going to headline those games necessarily? Maybe, maybe not. But, you think that there's the core of a roster and there's Tua and Tyreek Hill and others, that there's still a lot of interest in that team.
And also interesting about the Vikings for a minute, they're going to be the team that stays in Europe for 2 weeks. So they have the Dublin game, and then they're going to play in London, not the Jags this year, who, Onnie, I think it's the last two seasons, the Jags have been 2 weeks in a row in the UK. Is there a reason for that? Are the Jags trying to pull back from what's behind it?
No, it's a great question and an interesting, opportunity that we have. The Jags have done that the last couple years. As you know, the Jaguars play kind of almost independently of our broader international program. They have their own arrangement and play at Wembley Stadium every year. Last couple years, they have been an opponent of, a visiting opponent to one of the other teams playing in London. And so it's worked out where they could play as a visiting team one week and then as the designated or home team the following week. I'm pretty sure this year they did not match up against any of the other designated teams. So that one wasn't really an opportunity. And then as we started to make the schedule, we did realize that the Vikings are a common opponent to the Steelers and the Browns. And so it's not something that we would go out there and just do and, kind of just say, hey, this is the way it's going to be. But we had an opportunity to have that conversation with the Vikings. There's obviously a ton to learn from that. The Jaguars have done it. Doing it as specifically the visiting team for 2 consecutive weeks is something we've never done before. And when we raised it to the team, to their credit, they were willing, open-minded and willing to innovate with us. And so, it's interesting not only to be the visiting team, but to play in 2 different countries and all of the factors there. Certainly a ton we can learn from that.
Yeah, if you're a Viking fan, make sure that passport's ready. If this was ever a time, if you want to go to Europe, this is the time to do it. Onnie Bose is joining us. He's a VP of NFL broadcasting, and we're going through the schedule. And there's so many ways I want to take this, but just going off that international schedule. So you got Brazil again to start off the season, Chiefs, Chargers, which is really cool. Then we talked about all the European games. How far can the NFL go in the regular season? Like, how you guys must have talked about this. Brazil's pretty far, but the time change is not crazy.
Australia next year, right?
Yep.
In a regular season,
there you go.
right?
That's the one.
Rams going to Brisbane, Mag.
So, right? Yeah. we have announced that, right, we'll be the Rams will be going with us to Australia week 1 of next year. So, probably as a physical distance and surely as time zones, that's as far as we can go.
Yeah, you can't go to the moon yet. Although, maybe.
That's right. Give us time. We'll figure it out.
Musk will figure it out.
So that'll be an interesting opportunity and an interesting challenge. And, credit to our international team led by Peter O'Reilly and Matt Shapiro, and working with, the team in Australia and the iconic kind of Melbourne cricket grounds there, and the willingness there where culturally they can play a game at 10, 11 a.m. and that's what they do. And so you can match it up and still play it in prime time here in the U.S. is a great opportunity for us.
Everyone's praying that's not their team. Yeah. Oh, well, the Rams, obviously.
The Rams
yeah.
That'd be a good road trip, too, as a fan.
What kind of feedback is the league getting on all the streaming services? And, it's not a lot of games, but it's a hodgepodge of different streaming services. Is there criticism coming to the office about that?
Look, I think there's probably criticism anytime there's change. Andrew, you and I are old enough to remember that, NFL was not on anything but broadcast TV, and then going to ESPN in the late 80s was a big deal. Putting the NFL on cable was shocking. But I think it's just a reflection, and the world has just moved that much faster now. But 85% of our games are on broadcast TV. Every game is on over the air in your home market. That's never going to change, I think. But streaming is where a lot of our fans are, right? A lot of our certainly our kids will probably never have cable in their life. So we're always going to evolve and one, experiment, but 2, build partnerships with companies that have such, reach. At this point, Amazon and Netflix are probably as ubiquitous or more than cable in terms of penetration into people's houses. So change is always going to be challenging. There's the challenges of how do you watch it out of home, and you walk into a restaurant or a bar on a Thursday night and are they going to have it? But we're working through those things and commercial distribution of those games. So we're always going to evolve. We're always going to kind of target where our fans are going and be ready to make sure our games are as available as possible, and you can watch it in just about any fashion, including on your phone, whether it's through NFL Plus or other kind of local ways of accessing it.
Please don't change NFL Plus. I don't know, Onnie, if this is not your area, but tell them from me to them, just keep it exactly, because that's how I watch a lot of stuff. And Onnie Bose is joining us. He's the VP of NFL broadcasting. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I love it. It's a great plug. It's a great product, especially, if you're fans like the 3 of us surely are. It's a great way to watch games.
It's perfect. And, you can get around some of the streaming stuff because everything's right there. But here's the other thing. Okay, we're going through the schedule. So many things to get to. Perloff asked if you guys take into account moves that teams have made in the offseason, right? And not just the fact that, here we go, Jaden Daniels, Washington Commanders, rocket ship, looks like the team's going to be good again. But for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who I know is already a national fan base, but obviously, Onnie, the big elephant in the room is whether or not Rodgers is going to sign there. Pittsburgh gets a lot of primetime games anyway. Nothing changed with that. Do you guys anticipate that Rodgers is going to be there? You literally have the Steelers starting week 1 at the Jets, which feels like a little bit of a wink from the league.
So I think I turned this back as a question when I was asked this yesterday by somebody. But look, you hit it on the head. The Steelers are going to get a good amount of national TV and big windows. They have another slate of great opponents, again, playing the NFC North, they playing the Bills, so those games are going to fall into big windows anyway. I think all we can do is kind of take what we know. And, certainly the owner of the Steelers came out after the annual meeting, and I believe even after the draft. And yes, we expect him to be here, but he's not on the roster. And so, the week 1 is really interesting. The Steelers are going to Dublin in week 4. There's some Pirates games in a couple of weeks, so they had to be on the road. Certain amount of their games might have been earmarked for other places. And that game fell into week 1. It was not a conscious or aggressive move. And I think, look, if we were truly saying Aaron Rodgers is going to be on the Steelers, we're probably not having enough restraint to not put that game in a huge window in week 1. So it did fall in week 1. It's at 1 o'clock. It's an interesting story, but I don't know. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing that says about us, but it fell in there, and it'll certainly be a story if he's playing, and even if he's not playing. As somebody said, it might be Justin Fields playing against his old team, so you can go with that storyline too.
So you didn't have any inside knowledge of Aaron's plans. You weren't down. Your office wasn't down taking ayahuasca
in Costa Rica.
One team that we were talking about, it's kind of funny. The rookie quarterbacks did not get a lot of primetime love. Titans got no games, and the Browns got no games. I was curious about all the attention they got at the draft. I feel like there's interest in the Browns because of Shedeur Sanders, but we don't know he's playing. How do you view that team, who, when they're good, can be quite popular?
Yeah, absolutely. They played a great game in the snow last year against the Steelers on a Thursday night that was just, a visual spectacle, but I think got really great viewership. Yeah, look, there's no doubt about it, right? And Cleveland will play Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Baltimore in their division. There's always going to be games that'll have interest. Look, I think our view is, a little bit of uncertainty. You don't know with any of the rookie quarterbacks, and we don't tend to jump on the rookie quarterback bandwagon aggressively in any year. Very famously, we said, Andrew Luck came out and was going to be the starter, and he had no prime time in his first year as scheduled. So, I think what we look at is teams, Washington last year for sure, with the flexible scheduling that we have late in the year, right? We've had it on Sunday nights. We have it on Monday now. We flexed a Thursday game. We have a Saturday TBD pool. There are opportunities for a team like Cleveland or Tennessee that if they do, put it together, and maybe those rookie quarterbacks are having really good seasons unexpectedly, there are opportunities to get into bigger and primetime windows down at the end of the year.
Onnie Bose, just with us for a minute or two. We can't tell you how much we appreciate this. This is awesome. We get access to someone who's literally creating the NFL schedule the day after it gets released, and this is amazing for us. Last one for me, and I understand they play in a tough division, so it's going to be tough for them anyway, but the New York Giants, one of the worst teams in the league by record last year, now, as far as strength of schedule, have the toughest schedule ahead. Onnie, I feel like that's not exactly how things generally work. Usually the worse you are, kind of the lighter the load happens to be. Yep. Is this just bad luck here for the Giants, or what happened?
Yeah, I think that's probably it, right? Right. The schedule is determined, right? It's the rotation of your division, and who everybody in your division is playing in, another division in your conference, a division in the others, and then in theory, the Giants should be playing, 3 fourth place teams by standings, and I have, to look at it carefully, but we've said it all along. They have such a tough schedule, and on the one hand, they have great opponents, and they do come into our prime time in some windows because, one, early on in the year, you kind of, everybody's got hope, and you want everybody to be successful. But yes, it's probably kind of an unexpected thing, but it really is a quirk of the rotation and that system. Look, we're always optimistic at the draft and today, and you're going to go in, thinking that everybody's got a chance to have a solid season.
Onnie, so Maggie and I, we can probably change our schedules. Do you need someone to carry your bags in Dublin or Madrid? I got to tell you, I would love to go to Dublin and Madrid. Those are going to be, what do you think is going to be the biggest international party, if you had to guess, this year for the NFL?
I was over in Dublin a month or two ago as we were scouting the stadium. It's so cool. Croke Park is right in the middle of a neighborhood. It's like if you turn the corner on the Upper West Side and suddenly there's a 100,000 seat stadium just sitting there. And even in my cab ride over, the driver was like, "Oh yeah, we've had college football here, and it's going to be exciting to have the NFL." So there's already a vibe there, and obviously the Steelers and the connection with Mr. Rooney as the ambassador, and they've fully embraced it. So I think every one of our international games is a great scene. You mentioned Madrid. I think that stadium is incredible and the history there, and we're going to Berlin, which is new also. But I imagine, just the anticipation, if you're a Steelers fan, if you're a Vikings fan, or if you're just a fan and want to go spend the weekend in Dublin, I've got to guess that the scene there, I bet that, the tickets there are going to be, I should know when we put them on sale, but, I'm sure they're gone, and I'm sure that the vibe there is going to be spectacular.
Onnie, thank you. Again, we know this is the busy time of year, and this is fun. People say, oh, the schedule, you already know who's playing who, but not when and not where. And it's just fantastic. So congrats on putting together another great one. Thank you for this.
Thank you. I always appreciate being on with you guys. Andrew, you asked me at the top just about the team. I do want to just shout out the team is bigger than ever before. And, Mike North, Hans Schroeder get a lot of attention for the incredible work and leadership. But I also just want to mention Howard Katz, who is really kind of the legendary guy who brought me over to the NFL and has the guy who revolutionized how we do the schedule. This is his last schedule with us, an incredible Hall of Fame career, and just really have to acknowledge that what's in his brain is what we try to teach the computer to do. And, whoever will do this schedule for the next 20, 30 years, his imprint and DNA will always be in how we think about it. So just appreciate the opportunity just to recognize him as well.
I thought you were going to shout out the Philadelphia Eagles being world champions because they had to expand the team because there were too many Eagles fans in the room. Because Onnie, I know you are unbiased, you work for the league, but can we do the chant? Are you allowed to do EAGLES?
I'll nod my head while you do it. How's that? Or I can get my kids are in the other room. I'll have them come here and join you.
Yes. Full disclosure, Onnie and I went to high school together, and we were pretty happy in New Orleans last year. Well, no, I won't say that for you, Onnie. I don't want to get you in trouble.
I'm happy for my kids and happy for my friends who are the Eagles fans. It was a fantastic scene for, any Super Bowl is incredible, and New Orleans was an awesome host.
Just give me an E and an A. That's all I ask
for. Listen, as I think Scott Van Pelt once said, everyone's from somewhere, right? So it's okay. We'll forgive it. And honestly, it's not like having all these Eagles fans in the room help the Eagles. Their schedule is crazy. Very, very hard. Onnie, thank you. You're the best.
Bud.
Thank you, guys. Always enjoy it.
Appreciate that. Yeah, we said the Eagles are the only 2 days of the week they're not playing on are Tuesday and Wednesday. You play every other day because of that Black Friday game against the Bears.
They played Friday in Sao Paulo, Brazil last year and won the Super Bowl.
That was week
I
one.
have no fear.
Sao Paulo.
Sorry. Yeah, I knew I messed that up as I was saying it. No,
I don't even know if that's how you say it.
Eagles feel invincible right now. I don't know what it is. I saw that schedule, and I'm like, no big deal. It's going to be a new night for Saquon to run for 180 yards.
I've already taken the Cowboys in the points in that week one game, but I didn't want to say that in front of Onnie because I like him so much. 888-710-4ISN. I placed the bet in front of you.
Have you seen any of the numbers on how the road team does on opening night?
Oh, yeah, it's probably awful. 888-710-4ISN. Okay, that was cool. Lots to do, though, and if you want to weigh in on the schedule on your team, give us a call. Let us know. Drop us a line in the chat, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet, twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork. We're on a new channel on SiriusXM, so if you're in the car, want to listen to us on satellite, 375 is where you can find us. And, of course, on the absolutely free Odyssey app. We say good morning to our affiliates who we love. Coming up next, Deion Sanders like you've never seen him before. MVP.
Go Birds.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. You're just trying to get to me.
Me?
Yeah. You already bet the Cowboys in week 1? What are you doing?
I did it in front of you.
What are you doing here?
Not the money line. I took the points.
I'm here in this building openly rooting against the Knicks because I don't want to see Manny and EJ be happy. That doesn't mean you have to take it out on my Philadelphia Eagles, Maggie.
You just won the Super Bowl. I just think it's a lot of hoopla.
Yeah, there's a lot of hype around the Eagles.
Yeah.
They're almost even above the hype. And it feels like Howie Roseman is the genius of the NFL. Their team looks totally stacked for next year. Could things go wrong? Absolutely. Do I care? No. We're the champions.
Also, I kind of feel like for the Cowboys, maybe they'll more ease into this thing and, maybe it's going to be like a slower burn as opposed to like coming out of the gates firing. But I almost kind of trust that they'll be better early in the season, maybe if Dak is actually healthy. And I don't know what's going to happen in the back half of the season when they start playing the Chiefs and stuff like that on Thanksgiving.
Well, I think
actually
actually
a lot harder.
In a good way, the bar is lowered on the Cowboys. I don't think that 3 straight 12-5 seasons, the expectations were big. They have a new coach. I think people will be happy if they were 500. Maybe I'm underselling them, but I think Onnie kind of put it the right way. They don't have to be a Super Bowl team to be the biggest draw. They just have to be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're competitive. I hope I'm not wrong about this and they blow out the Eagles. I don't see them being 13-4 and getting to the NFC title game. And that's fine.
Get your damn act together.
George is in San Diego, wants to weigh in on his San Francisco 49ers. Hi, George. How are you?
Good morning. Niners have the number one easiest schedule ranked opponent this year. Sports Illustrated has them getting 8 wins.
Yep.
I think CMC is going to get 2,000 total yards. Ricky Pearsall is going to break out with that new number 1 jersey with 80 catches, and we'll double that. We'll get about 12, I think. Go Niners.
Super easy schedule.
I mean, still a decent amount of primetime games. George, thanks for the call. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you had another point. Yeah, super easy schedule for them as far as, if you're expecting that the Cardinals are not really going to be a thing, and who knows about Seattle.
Cardinals
you got the Rams.
Cardinals will probably be right around 500. Seattle will be right around 500. That's how the NFC West has been. But they're out of, strength of schedule-wise, they're in the bottom 5 as far as easiest.
Right.
I'm starting to feel the Niners, and I know this has burned me in the past. But remember last time they had that injury-plagued season after they got to the Super Bowl, and then they came back, and I think they were 10-7 the next season and went on a deep playoff run. They have the bones of a good team. I trust in Saleh. Robert Saleh is a defensive coordinator, not a head coach.
Yep.
He's the highest paid defensive coordinator in the league now in San Francisco. And they have Kyle Shanahan. And I like this guy they drafted, Mikael Williams out of Georgia. He's getting rave reviews from the draft people as far as fit. I think I'm going to be into them this year, Mag.
So can I tell you another thing that's going to help the Niners? So looking at their primetime games, the first one is at the Rams on a Thursday night. I think that's going to be a good game. But the other primetime games that they get, I think they're going to look really good against the Falcons at home, the Panthers at home, at the Colts, the Bears. So I think it's going to help the Niners that when they do have these standalone primetime games, they're probably going to be favored by a lot and win, I would assume win by a lot, is going to make people, like when you have that national audience, it's different than when you're just in the mix with a bunch of other teams. So
are they doing playoff seeding based on public perception now? Because who cares? What's the difference?
I'm just saying I think that you're going to get a lot of people like you who are going to get back into the Niners really fast because in these standalone primetime games, they're probably going to wallop some of these teams.
Well, that's not like me. I'm into them right now, and it's May.
Well, I'm just
I don't
saying.
need to see them beat up on Atlanta. And by the way, who knows? Atlanta could be good.
Other thing, late bye for the 49ers, week 14.
Well,
I feel like everyone in the world hopes that you get a late bye.
So the caller said SI had them at 8 wins, and he has them at 12. I am betting over on that win total. I think they're closer to 12 than 8. I think they make the playoffs again this year. And listen, that's no guarantee because they lost Debo Samuel. They lost a lot of guys. They lost Hufanga, Debo Samuel. I mean, they have to retool and get younger. So I don't think the expectations are that high. I think that they could be a surprise.
One thing that helps out also for the 49ers, over the last 8 weeks of the season, they do not play a single team who made the playoffs last year. Bogusch is here with headlines.
I hate Manny. I do hate Manny.
I hate you too.
The Celtics, they did lose Jason Tatum, but maybe more importantly, they have now unleashed Luke Cornett.
Lob. Down catches. Luke Cornett with 2 hands behind his back slams it over his head, putting an exclamation point on what will forever be remembered as the Luke Cornett game at TD Garden.
The first ever reverse alley-oop, Sean Grande, Cedric Maxwell on Celtics radio. The Luke Cornett game was 10 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 blocks in this 127-102 route to force Game 6 at MSG tomorrow night. This is as excited as Joe Mazzulla can be.
Yeah, he was great.
But he did have a little bit more on Cornette.
Did a great job protecting the rim, did a great job defending without fouling, did a great job on both ends of the floor. So I just thought his presence was good, especially on the rebounding. Had 9 rebounds, 2 offensive ones. He made some big-time plays for us.
Derrick White chipped in with 34, 26 points from Jaylen Brown. And again, I will get ahead of myself. Game 7 Monday night in Boston. Now, not only did the Knicks lose, their fans then watched Julius Randle put 29 points on the Warriors in a 121-110 series ender. Anthony Edwards impressed by his running mate.
The way he controlled the tempo, the way he pushed the pace, the way he bring us along with him when he pushes the pace, and just even his defense. His defense has gone to another level.
Edwards, 22 points and 12 assists as the T-Wolves made their second straight Western Conference final. They could have 5 days off before Game 1. Depending on how long Thunder Nuggets goes, OKC can advance in Game 6 tonight.
Can I just say that Julius Randle has a whole nother thing coming at him in the next round. He was getting covered by most night by Pods, who's 6'2". I mean, it's crazy. If people think Julius Randle is doing this again, I will guarantee I'll do any kind of show bet that his numbers go way down in the next round.
Screw this kid.
I'm sorry. I watched Julius Randle for too long in New York. This is not the real Julius Randle. That was a function of the Lakers and the Warriors having no defense inside.
Why are you looking at me like that, Bogey?
Just waiting for a response.
Listen,
he was also a Laker, a Pelican.
That's right.
Any other team?
No, that's it. The 4 teams. But this is who Julius Randle can be. That's the thing. But
he had
with
6'3" guys covering him the whole series.
Yeah, okay, so he took advantage of that. The same thing that should have been done in Boston last night whenever Derrick White was matched up on Karl Anthony Towns. Take advantage of the matchup. That's the matchup that they give you. Take advantage of it. He took advantage of it. But this is who Julius Randle can be. It's just the inconsistency part about Julius Randle. Will he do it next week in the Western Conference Finals? We'll find out. But it's just the inconsistency with Julius Randle. But this is what he can do.
Imagine if he does it in the NBA Finals at the Garden.
I wonder what type of reception he would get.
Does he get a, what do they call it? A hype video? No.
Not in the finals.
He got a hype video in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
What do they call those? Not a hype video.
Welcome back video.
Welcome back.
Come on, girl.
His kids are the best.
Yeah.
How would you decide who wins that trade? With Towns?
By the finals.
If they go to the finals?
Yeah.
Whoever wins the finals.
I got to be honest. I thought the Knicks killed them in that trade. And the last 2 weeks, I'm like, whoa, Minnesota knew what they were doing. Has anyone else been like that?
Yeah, and especially last night when I saw Karl Anthony Towns score, 10 points and grab 4 rebounds? 7 feet tall, and he's getting bodied up by Derrick White. Pathetic.
The Edmonton Oilers are back in the NHL's West finale after surviving Game 5 in Vegas in OT 1-0. Kasperi Kapanen the winner, while Stuart Skinner made 24 saves. The Panthers took a 3-2 lead on the Leafs with a 6-1 destruction in Toronto. And it happened again. The Flyers hired Rick Tocchet as head coach yesterday, a few weeks after he gave up the Canucks job. But those Canucks did go outside that tiny circle of head coaches, promoting assistant Adam Foote to replace Tocchet. Foote has only been a head coach for 1 season in minor hockey. So there are now 34 qualified men to coach NHL teams.
34. Yeah, I mean, it feels like there's 5 guys who just rotate.
It's the best take you've ever had.
Yeah.
It really is. It's so true.
It might even expand to front offices now because Lou Lamoriello was actually seen at the Buffalo airport, so he might be going to the Sabres to go run that franchise.
And the Kings are hiring Ken Holland, who was the Oilers GM after being the Red Wings GM.
Yeah, Lamoriello just left the Islanders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually... Don't ask me how. Me and Bogusch spent most of the afternoon breaking down the history of the Flyers coaches. They've had Tortorella, Hitchcock, Laviolette, now Tocchet, and Berube. I mean, that's guys who coach on 9 different teams.
And if Tocchet doesn't work, Laviolette's available now.
Yeah, you just named 2 Rangers coaches.
I know. Bring them back.
Yeah, Lavi just got fired by the Rangers.
What? I don't understand what's going on here. Are these people being cloned? How is this all happening? How are they coaching multiple teams?
No, it's just math. Like you've said, there's 32 teams, and there's roughly 31 men that are allowed to coach them.
It's
so
just
they
funny,
just cycle through.
We all just picked the wrong career path. We should have went into hockey coaching, and maybe we could have had one of these job for life situations where you get to see all parts of the United States and Canada.
Travel the world.
You can live other places. This is great.
Get your boy on some skates now, Maggie. Right now's the perfect time.
I took him to an arcade yesterday for the first time. It was amazing.
Oh yeah, Dave and Buster's.
Something like that.
Oh, yeah.
In the NFL, you get fired after a new coach and you never hear from him again, right? I mean, it's very
Joe
rare.
Judge.
13. How many guys have coached 3 different teams? Maybe a handful. Now it's
They wouldn't even give Belichick a third team.
Thank you.
Baseball last night, Xander Bogaerts, a 3-run homer, bottom 1 to start the Padres towards a 5-1 win over the Angels. The Astros scored 2 in the 8th through a 4-3 win over the Royals, and the Rockies lost in Texas 8-3. Colorado takes a 3-game sweep after firing manager Bud Black. Shockingly, he wasn't the problem. They are now 7-36 for the season. And
Is that bad?
It's not good.
7:30. Okay.
And the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow is underway, about an hour or so old, and Ryan Fox has the lead. He is 3 under through 5 holes this morning.
That guy's a fox.
Foxy.
The biggest group of the morning, Scheffler, McIlroy, and Schauffele went off at 8:22 Eastern.
Oh, Xander Schauffele.
The big thing coming out of Quail Hollow is just how relaxed Rory looks, apparently. This has been...
Yeah, because he busted his slump, right?
Right. So slump buster, the year of the drought breaker. This is what I've dubbed 2025. Watch Rory just start launching tee shots into the pavilion or something. Just not a care in the world. And here comes... I would not be in the gallery on a Rory tee shot right now because that's going right into someone's lip.
No, presumably he'd be better because he's so relaxed. You want to be relaxed. Like, he'll probably go on a run now, I think.
Kind of like the Celtics last night.
They were very relaxed last night.
All the
Cornette,
pressure-
very comfortable.
All the pressure.
In the
all
paint.
the pressure off their shoulders.
Just give me Sunday where Scheffler's going to be, 2 shots behind guaranteed. He's so automatic now.
When you going to put money on Scheffler then?
I don't put these the highest odds. I'm not going to do that. I actually was just looking at those odds, and I'm a little late to the party here.
Just put your classic $20 on Victor Hovland, which
Right.
you do all the time. Or is it Alberg that you love?
Victor Oberg, yeah. He's pretty, no, not Victor, Ludwig
Lewis,
Oberg.
yeah.
No, he was good. I have limited knowledge of the elite golfers from the Netflix show Top Swing.
Full swing.
Full swing. Yeah, see what I mean? I combine Top Golf. I should have gone, who's the guy? I'm already forgetting his name, who just lost to Rory? Justin Rose. Coolest guy in the world. You got to root for him. Like a family man. He's basically Andrew Perloff, the pro golfer. He's got 2 kids at home. He's like, honey, I got to practice. She's like, no, you got to drive them to volleyball practice. That's his life. So anyway, but yeah, it's Rory's show. You're absolutely right.
I mean, he's looking relaxed. So we'll see. Bogusch, thanks so much. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Talk about the Golden State Warriors and whether it's disappointing that they couldn't get one game without Steph Curry? Jimmy? No? Anyone? Also, we have Deion Sanders making news. What did he do? We'll tell you next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
He only owns like 10. The thing that they don't mention is
he owns very little.
of the horse that won. So the
2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Daily.
Do you believe that?
Deion.
You believe that?
This portion of the show is sponsored by Hyundai. The Hyundai Getaway Sales event is going on now. Get deals so right, it almost feels wrong. But don't wait. Visit your local Hyundai dealer today. I was wondering, do we have to change the Daily Deion to the Daily Shador? Because Shador is getting more of the hype. I've seen a lot of practices in shorts. But I guess it's kind of all the same thing.
Yeah, maybe it's like in the sauce, but we had to update you on what's going on with Deion Sanders. He is getting a documentary, prime time, set for 2026 on Netflix. And it was funny because I saw, Deion's getting a documentary. This is cool. We're actually going to see, to me, one of the most interesting things about Deion would have been the draft process. Like the last month, I want to know what was going on behind the scenes that caused Shador to fall. You know, we had all these dribs and drab reports about Shador blowing it in meetings and, how did he come across, and all that stuff could have led to him being all the way down to a 5th-round pick, bro. Like, this is awesome. We're going to get some footage of, what was going on. And Deion was acting as Shador's agent. So, how did they mess this up?
I have no idea how you can get your interest level up for this.
Well,
There's already a 365-part documentary on Deion. It's called Every Day, Everybody. What is there going to be left to cover? I mean, you saw that the whole draft process was on camera, every single second of it.
I know.
There's nothing left.
I wanted
We
more,
are
but apparently
picking the carcass of the Deion story.
We're not even getting that. So this is going to be 3 60-minute episodes that are going to cover his transition from a two-sport athlete to a coach. It will also discuss very serious things like a suicide attempt, a relationship with his biological father, and the recent health scares that resulted in 2 toes being amputated. Deion said, "It means so much to finally be able to tell my unfiltered truth, my story."
Is he being serious there? Because all he does is tell a story all day, every day. This is Netflix, by the way. You can't run this, Netflix. I mean, this is ridiculous. Because there is so much coverage of Deion. There's a 3-part documentary on a guy who's got... come on. I mean, this is way overcovered. Give us a documentary on somebody that we don't know every single thing about.
Well, this is my thing is, it's not that I'm, trying to just dismiss Deion's story. It's a great story. I just really wanted a little bit more of what went wrong for Shador in the draft process.
Go on X. You can actually literally see Deion watching every pick go by.
No, but I want, how did they, what did Shador say when he walked out of that, was reported as a disaster meeting with the Giants? What was it like in that moment? What did he say? Did he say, I blew it? Did he say, they don't like me? What did Deion say to him?
I don't know. I mean,
and then I said, and then he said, and then I said, like, I want that.
Hundreds and hundreds of hours of Shador talking from the month of January to May. I'm not kidding. Like, there's so much footage of this man. Of course they got the prank call on Shador because he films and puts out every single moment of his life.
Well, everyone was filming that, it turns out, and it was stupid. But here's another part about Deion, and, he's still coaching. Belichick's taken up a lot of oxygen this offseason as far as coaches are concerned in college, but what is Deion without Travis Hunter and without Shador? What is this going to look like?
And let's not forget Shallow.
Well done. JT is in Atlanta. JT, beyond Deion, what's got you going this morning?
So a couple of things. First off, Manny. I wonder what he's wearing today, but he broke the cardinal rule. Like, you can't, as a fan, count the chickens before they hatch. And he was definitely doing that the other day, and I think it's, you got to be nervous now. Like, after watching last night's game, understanding that Boston's got some other good players, like 3 Olympians on their team, or actually 2 now, because they didn't take Jalen. But, they got some squads still left over, and obviously the Knicks know that now. So I wonder how he's concerned. Listening to Perloff talk about, Steph not coming back, it's hilarious because I remember maybe a week or two ago, he was the one like run around and shoot from the corner. Like, he was advocating for him to play with his, what was it, just a hamstring issue and
yes,
and
Perloff
EJ
who calls Steph Curry not a good athlete. Was like, just stand out there.
Then I saw the workout. JT, then I saw the workout on video, and I was like, oh my God, he is not even close. Like, he can't, he literally probably couldn't run up and down.
And then Pearl too, I think I'm a little bit, I agree, as an Eagle fan, I disagree a little bit about the schedule. I look at it, and I think I have some trepidation. I have some concern, especially early on. It seems like they stacked it like they were rooting against us.
Well, you should have a harder schedule. They do generally make it harder on the defending champs, although not always with the Chiefs lately. And obviously, I guess the Patriots got to play against the AFC East all those years. But yeah, at Cowboys, then at Chiefs, then home Rams, at Bucks, home Broncos, at Giants, Vikings.
Why would Cowboys in Philly scare you? I mean, I don't think there's going to be an easier matchup on paper all year long. And then you have the Chiefs. Did you see what the Eagles did to the Chiefs last year?
No, I understand, and I think though we're in, there's Arrowhead's a tough place to play, and they're going to be wanting payback, right? And I think again these teams on paper maybe not so much, but again I think their motivation, right? The Chiefs have motivation, the Rams have motivation, the Cowboys always have motivation, right? They're going to be out to try to prove something. Tampa was a playoff team last year, you know what I mean? And then I think until we get to the Giants, those are all. I'm not saying cake. I mean, none of those are cakewalks, obviously.
No,
so we're going to know where we stand as a team after those first 5 games. If we have a 4-1 or 5-0 record, even 3-2, I'll take. To be honest with you, I'll be happy with that. So I know we're going to come out the gate and have to be ready, and there's not going to be any resting on our laurels. We're going to have to be ready to do. And then again, we have a new offensive coordinator. We have no idea what this new offense is going to look like.
Hey, I have a much bigger. Thank you, JT. I have a much bigger schedule issue. It's really, we buried the lead.
What's that?
December 28th, frigid Buffalo.
You and
Maggie and Perloff showdown. Eagles at Bills. Playoff seeding hopefully on the line for both of our teams. Now, actually, I'm not really that worried. Besides, the Bills are famous for getting up for games that are not the AFC title game, so they'll probably win. But
didn't the last time they played it went to overtime?
I don't remember, actually.
Is that a live show from New Era Field or whatever it's called?
It's December 28th.
You want to go to Buffalo in December?
Yeah,
you went to college there.
I literally before I took this job, I had a vacation in December in Buffalo. Yeah, I'll go to Buffalo in December.
Who calls that a vacation?
Yeah, boy.
You go to
cheap that time of year.
I mean, it could be a romantic vacation where you go to see Niagara Falls, but what were you doing?
What was I went to go watch the Utah Hockey Club against the Buffalo Sabres, and I enjoyed myself.
There's not enough Molson X in the world that would get me there.
We saw about a period and a half, and then we left.
888-710-4ISN. Man, I'll give you a second. JT said you should be nervous now that the Knicks blew Game 5 and have to go Game 6 at the Garden.
I'm not necessarily nervous. I'm not panicking. Gelb saw one of my tweets last night and mistook anger for panic. That's what I'm at. That's where I am at right now. I'm seething at the fact that they lost the way that they did. Biggest game in 25 years for them. Opportunity to go to the conference finals, and they just defecated all over themselves. But I'm not necessarily worried. Hit me up after
pretty bleak.
Hit me up after Friday, game 6. If the Knicks lose that one, then I'll be in full panic mode.
Oh, we will. We will revel in that.
Luke Cornett just messing with your nightmares.
Please, no.
Coming up, the man who wrote the book on Bill Belichick, Aaron Rodgers, and more, Ian O'Connor, joins us next. 7P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
No surprises.
30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Major disappointment, in my opinion, that the Warriors couldn't get one more game out of this series to try to get Steph Curry back on the floor. They lost to Minnesota last night. Minnesota moves on to the Western Conference Finals for the second year in a row. But the Dubs are left really trying to pick up the pieces and figuring out how do they maximize the end of Steph's career, because he went out and they didn't have a prayer.
Well, also, they need height desperately. They need something completely different. There's no way, even with Steph, the height is a problem. I don't know. I think it might be over.
The fact is, playoff Jimmy is like a figment of our imagination, I guess, and he couldn't even will them to one win on their home floor, even when they had the opportunity. And
will them to one win? That team wasn't even close.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And it's a disappointment. The guy who was calling himself Robin, but at least Robin can somehow like hold off the bad guys for a minute or two. Jimmy couldn't even throw a stick of dynamite at their feet. I don't know. It just was disappointing, especially because people had high hopes for Golden State. Meanwhile, let's get to our next guest for today. He's an award-winning author who's written books about Bill Belichick and Aaron Rodgers and Arnie and Jack and Derek Jeter. All of the athletes you're interested in, he has written about. It's Ian O'Connor who joins us now. Ian, thanks so much for the time today. How are you?
Maggie, Andrew, good to be with you.
So we've been dying to talk to you because right now, like literally in this moment on Thursday morning, there may be other things taking our attention away. But let's not forget what the last week and a half or so has been like for Bill Belichick, somebody who you have studied up close and personal. His relationship with Jordan Hudson has been all over the news and the tabloids. It has really crossed over. He was at a Holiday Inn in Portland, Maine, front row at the Miss Maine competition, sitting next to his 24-year-old girlfriend's father. Very, very awkward stuff. What has been the most surprising detail that you've learned about Belichick over the last couple weeks as somebody who wrote a best-selling book about him?
That's a great question. I think that he would allow somebody into his professional life. Obviously, it's a personal relationship, but it also has become professional. That has brought so far really no value to him and his organization, because Bill is so transactional. If you're in his professional world, usually that means he sees you giving him value. And obviously, so far, Jordan Hudson hasn't provided that. And she's 24 years old. I made a lot of mistakes when I was 24. So I do think she deserves some room and some space here to get better, which as his chief of staff, I guess. And I think what we've seen is that Bill really misses Burge Nigerian, who was his chief of staff in New England for more than 20 years. He was Keyshawn Johnson's guy as an intern with the Jets, and then he became Belichick's guy in New England. And if Burge were in place there, he's now at Boston College with Bill O'Brien. I don't think this would have happened with CBS. And so, yeah, I think that's been the biggest surprise to me. Not usually, almost always with Bill. And I've talked to so many people, and I did for the book, that when they had a conversation with him, they realized afterward they're being interviewed. And they're giving Bill all this information, and he's asking them questions, and he's giving nothing. So, again, if you're in his professional world, he expects you to bring some sort of value to him, and so far that has not happened with his girlfriend.
If you had to guess a reason why things have changed for him, I know, Lombardi is still there. There are people around him. Do you think it's possible that, he's getting a little older, that his personality has changed? Maybe he's not as transactional, or maybe he's in love, or is it possible this isn't the surroundings, but Bill himself has changed?
I think it's possible, Andrew. And as he's gotten older, here's one thing where I think that Jordan Hudson could really help him. And that is, and maybe he's thought of this, maybe not. But obviously now the age gap between Bill and his players is the biggest it's ever been. So where can she help? Well, if she obviously is a lot closer in age to his players than he is, but she can talk to him about, hey, this is what players of that age are doing today on social media and the music they're listening to and the shows they're streaming, and give him intel on how to maybe ease the disconnect if there is a disconnect between himself and his locker room. That actually maybe is something he's thought of, but I don't know if he's changed. I find it hard to believe he would change. He's always been that same person through his entire coaching career. And I know that Pablo Torre, who's done some great reporting, has reported that it was even possible that he wouldn't make it to week 1 in North Carolina. I find that possible, I guess, but very hard to believe it would happen, because if Bill allows that to happen, his coaching career is over. No college is going to hire him after that experience. And really, if he doesn't make it to week 1, that would only validate the NFL owner's decision not to hire him in these past 2 hiring cycles. So I think he'd be done in the NFL as well. So I expect he'll get to the start of the season and he'll win football games, because every week he'll be the best coach on the field. I expect he'll go 9-3, 10-2, something like that. And a lot of this will go away once he starts winning football games.
Connor's joining us as award-winning author. You mentioned Bill in his life has always been very transactional with his relationships. There could be a transaction happening, Ian, that none of us are privy to, that happens behind closed doors with that personal relationship. Not to get tawdry about it, but that could be part of it. The other part is, Pablo Torre's reporting is that Bill's family is concerned about the legacy that he's built up, concerned about her meddling in, or being involved, I'll say meddling, being involved so much in his personal affairs. Do you think he is doing damage to his legacy, and are you surprised? We don't really know much about Bill's family, considering his sons are in coaching, that they are worried about him, according to Pablo.
No, I listen, as I've gotten older, hopefully smarter, I've tried to be more open-minded to unconventional things. This is obviously an unconventional relationship. I can never fathom dating somebody who's a half century younger than me, but it is a consensual relationship. They do seem to really enjoy each other's company. And so I think that it's not surprising that his family would be concerned, because that age difference is just so dramatic. And obviously she's a lot younger than his daughter. So that's not surprising. But again, I think once he gets to winning football games, a lot of this is going to disappear. And obviously he has a book out now. It just made the bestseller list last night, the New York Times. So that's a good thing. But I think that he hasn't damaged his legacy yet. If the nuclear option happens and he actually doesn't coach at North Carolina, that really is a mega hit on that legacy. I really don't think that will happen. And he'll go 9-3, 10-2. He might have some NFL interest after that, maybe not. If he ever gets into the tournament or wins the national championship, that'll really do great things for his legacy. And I think this episode will be forgotten.
Do you think he wants to go back to the NFL? In his mind, if say they are 10-2 and it plays out, would that be something that at this point that Belichick would do?
I think so. I do. And I know Mike Lombardi, who has known him and has been close to him for a long time, going back to their days in Cleveland together, has said the whole Don Shula thing doesn't really matter much to Bill. That's not what I was told in my reporting for the Belichick book. And even afterward, I've had a lot of people say maybe that's not his top priority, but that record is something, particularly since Shula in his later years said some unflattering things about Belichick, and that really hurt him. So I do think he wants that record, and I do think he wants to prove the NFL made a mistake by basically ignoring him and forcing him to take a college job. So if he has a good year in Chapel Hill, and I do expect he will, he's got a pretty good quarterback in Gio Lopez, and looks like they have a pretty good team. So I suspect he'll succeed in Chapel Hill. He'll have some feelers in the NFL. I don't know if an owner will go through with it and actually hire him. They should, I think. I think it was crazy he didn't get a job before this. I can't believe the New York Jets wouldn't even sit down with him. That to me that just blew me away. But in any event, I do think it's meaningful to him to try to get back to the league and to try to break that record.
Ian O'Connor is joining us, been a New York Times bestselling author, an award-winning author, so many books about people who are in the news and of interest to us right now. The other one you mentioned, the Jets, Aaron Rodgers. You just wrote the book about Rodgers very recently, hasn't signed yet in Pittsburgh, and it's been this, I don't want to say cat and mouse, waiting game, however you want to put it. You see this as someone who's just had this deep dive into Aaron Rodgers' whole life, and you're thinking he's playing, he's retiring. Where do you fall on it?
We all know Maggie. He does everything on his own timetable. And because he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, he gets away with it for the most part, even though now, given his age, that he's not obviously the same player he used to be. But he's the best option the Steelers have. I do think he will sign. There's no way to me, with the respect he has for Mike Tomlin, that he would put him through this and then not sign. And so he will be a Steeler. And he will play against the Jets, assuming he doesn't get hurt, in week one, and that'll be a hell of a scene. It's not a Monday night game. It's not the Sunday night game. I think maybe the Jets have had their fill of that, or the networks have had their fill of the Jets with these early primetime games. So I think it's better. It's a 1:00 game, and yeah, Aaron being back in MetLife Stadium will be a hell of a scene. And I think he has a lot to prove. And going 5-12, a lot of people think he's effectively washed up. I don't. I still think he has some pretty good football left in him. I think he can go 10-7 and maybe win a playoff game in Pittsburgh. And if he does that, that's certainly a better farewell than the one he would have had if he decided to retire after last season.
How does Aaron Rodgers fit into Pittsburgh? One of my favorite parts of your book was the bar, when he would go to bars in Green Bay. He seemed very comfortable in Green Bay. But now he's Mr. Malibu in California. Is he a Pittsburgh guy?
He's made fun of, Mike McCarthy, of course, was a Pittsburgh guy, and he used to make fun of McCarthy and his accent and just being from that part of the country. But I think that it's actually a good marriage, Andrew, in that Aaron Rodgers needs to get back to the basics and just being a football player. And he really loves the game and studies it, loves to talk about it. Pittsburgh right now is a perfect market for him at the end of his career. He knows, he respects not only the organization, what they've accomplished, and Tomlin he loves, but I think the fact that Pittsburgh people are similar to Green Bay people. They really care so deeply and are passionate about their football team and care so much about the bond between the team and the community that, to me, this is the right place for him to go. I think he'll succeed. I think they'll make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win the whole thing with him, but I just think he's too good of a player to end it the way he did with the Jets, 5-12, and basically getting fired by a Charlie Brown franchise. So I think the Steelers, Tomlin, it'll work out for him in a way that he deserves.
Ian O'Connor with us for a few more minutes. And Ian, your writing career has taken you all over this country to write about Coach K and Belichick and Aaron Rodgers. You are a New York guy, and you've been covering New York sports for a long time. The Knicks now blew an opportunity last night, and we got into it on our show today about whether Tom Thibodeau would be in trouble if they blow a 3-1 lead to the Celtics without Jason Tatum, who's recovering already from an Achilles and had the surgery 2 days ago. Where do you stand on this as someone who has chronicled a lot of ups and downs of Madison Square Garden?
Maggie, that just how much one game changes everything. Now all the pressure's on the Knicks, and it's like the Celtics are this plucky, likable underdog without Tatum, right? And they won 10 more games than the Knicks this year and own the Knicks in the regular season. Now they're the underdog. And if they ever get it back to Boston for a game 7 and the Knicks lose, yeah, that's cataclysmic. But I still don't think Tibbs will get fired, and he doesn't deserve to be fired. I'm sorry. He deserves at least one more year to try to win the whole thing. And I think the Knicks need to take care of business in game 6. I think they will. Anunoby has to play better. Bridges has to play better. One of them will. And I think Brunson will give you one of those 44-point games. Not sure Derrick White is going to score 34 in the Garden. So I think the Knicks are still in pretty good shape. But if they lose that game and put themselves in position to potentially lose a game 7 in Boston, that would feel apocalyptic. But I still think Tibbs should survive that and get one more chance next year.
If we're jumping around topics, I want to ask you, PGA kicks off. Have you considered writing a Rory McIlroy book? Because I know you've written a lot about him, but that feels right up your alley, his story.
I was just telling an editor this the other day. I think I got beaten to the punch on this. There's a book about Rory out now by Timothy Gay. I heard it was very good. I was able to skim it. I think it's called Rory Land. Alan Shipnuck, I believe, is working on a Rory book. So I'm too late. I would have loved to do it. And honestly, when he played the Open Championship in Northern Ireland, I was there. I went to Belfast and wrote about just how Rory symbolizes hope for Ireland and still the hatred that exists between Catholics and Protestants, and seeing what they call the peace walls and going up to them. They're really walls of war that are still up, separating Catholic and Protestant in Belfast. And it was very emotional for me as an Irish Catholic growing up in America, and was taught by his grandparents basically that Belfast was this evil place. And so I would have loved to have gotten into all that and done a deep dive on Rory. Again, I think I'm late to it, but he's a fascinating character. And I think he's a great representative of Northern Ireland, of Ireland, and really the games. I think he is just the way he carries himself. I've always appreciated how candid he is. And I think he has a chance, and I think he will become the first non-American to win 10 majors or more. And I think he'll go down as the greatest European player ever.
Of course, Ian wrote a book, Arnie and Jack, which is fantastic. Last one from me, and thanks for doing this. And yeah, let's keep jumping around. Dan Hurley wrote a book about him as well. So Dan Hurley, when he sees the Luka Doncic trade go down in the NBA this year, now I know they lost in the first round. Do you think there was any part of him that was like, damn, I should have taken that Laker job when they handed it to me on a silver platter?
Of course, Maggie, I did ask him that question, and he said, no, I made the right decision. I'm not ready for the NBA yet. When and the book's coming out in September. It's called Never Stop. And basically, Dan's feeling is he still has some work to do in college, and his temperament matches up right now with the college game more than certainly the NBA game. But before he retires, he wants to give the NBA a shot. And he thinks that, he said, my dad actually did get less intense over time. And when he was older, he wasn't quite as fiery as he was in his prime. So he said, as I age here, I think I'm going to get a little less intense, believe it or not. And I think then I can relate better to the NBA player. And I expect then he'll be the head coach of the Knicks, the Celtics, the Sixers. He said he's not limiting it to the Northeast, even though he spent his whole life basically in the Northeast. He's willing to go to an NBA organization that he feels is really committed to winning a championship. So I do think that will happen before he retires.
Very interesting. He's just mellowing out. I don't see happening. I mean, maybe there's got to be like a life change. Hopefully it's nothing bad. He can learn this lesson without like a, life-threatening thing. But that dude is so intense.
He knows it's players' league. I know it's a cliche, but it's true.
Yeah.
I think he's so good at coaching, he'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I really do. He knows he can't bring this sideline disposition to the NBA. He knows that. He's a smart guy. I think he can adjust. It's going to take, I think he'll be in the NBA maybe in 5 or 6 years, and then he'll be ready to make that adjustment on the sideline, in the locker room, in the huddle that he'd have to make.
It's amazing when it was was it the Maui Invitational? I don't think he was wearing a Hawaiian shirt. He may have been, but something about just like chewing out a referee and your own players in a Hawaiian shirt like doesn't square. Like if you're in a Hawaiian shirt, Pearl, you got to be relaxed, got to have a drink in your hand. Ian, thank you so much for doing this. We always appreciate your perspective on Belichick, Aaron Rodgers, what's going on with the Knicks and everything else. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Take care.
Appreciate that. It's funny so Belichick did that one interview at ACC Media Day, and he kind of was like classic Belichick.
Right.
And it's almost like, all right, well, back to normal.
Yeah, it did feel like he had a reset a bit where he seemed to handle that question quite well.
I think it's because Jordan Hudson wasn't with him, at least not publicly at the ACC Media Days. Maybe she's somewhere behind the scenes, but that's not usually where she is.
My takeaway from that was he just gave Bill Belichick 10 wins in North Carolina and Aaron Rodgers 10 wins in Pittsburgh.
You're the comeback.
Well, I was just wondering, is if you write a book with Ian, is he going to be optimistic? Do we want Ian's betting advice on these teams? Because I was like, whoa, 10-2. He's like, yeah, I mean, Belichick's obviously the best coach. He's going to go 10-2 or 9-3. I'm like, whoa.
Well, you and I have talked about that, about in college football, whether just having the advantage at head coach, how much of an advantage is that? Because it's kind of like a Jimmy's and a Joe's kind of, as opposed to X's and O's. But he's right. I mean, Belichick would get out of the gate with TCU. He's a better coach than Sonny Dykes.
He's a better college coach than Sonny Dykes?
Well, I mean, he's...
By the way, and Sonny Dykes
is a great coach, obviously.
I always thought you were going to name, Lincoln Riley. Sonny Dykes is that you never know when his program is going to be super elite.
I just said him because he's the first game on the schedule. I'm just saying...
Yeah, but again...
And that's a toss-up game.
Belichick doesn't even know the sport yet. I mean, it's quite a different game. Because of the hash marks, it's more of a spread game. He doesn't know the personnel. My argument was he was winning at the margins in New England. He was doing the small things better. Can you win in college like that where every game's, it's North Carolina. It's going to be 54-49 against Wake Forest in October. That's not a win at the margins kind of game.
Well, the one thing I would say is I think from reading books and Ian's book and other books about Bill Belichick, one thing and Michael Lombardi would say this too all the time, Belichick was great at understanding the tendencies of the coaches he was going against.
Yeah, but he doesn't know these guys.
Right. So that's to your point. He doesn't have the intel right now on those guys, but how quickly can he collect it?
And can he drill home the Bill Belichick system in this limited time with the team? I wonder, can he really get to the team of 18? This is first time. It's first spring. He's too busy doing a book tour, by the way.
And attending the Miss Maine competition.
Yeah. It doesn't. I'd be surprised if they were 10-2. That's really good. You're borderline in the playoff.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Really appreciate Ian O'Connor joining us. Coming up, we will do a special Thursday edition of the M&P 500, all about the NFL schedule release. So whose stock is up and whose stock is down after last night, we'll tell you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The M&P 500 on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. We're going to do a special M&P 500 off the NFL schedule release. Full schedule released last night. Let's get it started. Whose stock is up and whose stock is down?
Okay, I'm going to go stock up here for a certain team and player that showed a lot of riz that I did not expect from them with their schedule release video that went on social media. All the teams now compete with each other to try to do something clever and creative. And Mack Wilson Sr. of the Arizona Cardinals apparently is a rapper. And I thought, oh, man, another athlete rapper. We got to sit through this. Well, turns out he's pretty good.
K1 told me what's the play. Let's fine-tune some things, then we off the Tampa Bay. Love the Superdome on the road against the Saints. Cheese in the safe at the crib, Green Bay. Get in the field, you know the boys make it happen. Brought the heat with us cause it get cold in Cincinnati. The Bird Gang get home against the Atlanta Falcons. Another fight I came, Cowboy hat cause we in Dallas.
Catchy linebacker for the Arizona Cardinals, wrapped the whole schedule clean. And, I think the Cardinals have been a little bit of an afterthought lately, but that was fun.
Yeah, I'm going over on the wins based on that wrap. Good energy around this team right now. I think people are saying they had a really good offseason. I'm into it. I will stick in the same theme. I'm going to do a schedule release video. To me, actually, the winner is the show Severance on Apple TV. Because for 3 years or 4 years it's been out, I've never understood what the heck it's about. It's a popular show, kind of prestige TV with Adam Scott. The Ravens did their version of Severance and explained to me what the darn show was about, where I guess you sign off your rights to remember anything that happens at work. And it was this brilliant, high-level film thing. I guess it got kind of boring because it was like 9 minutes long and it was HBO level. But I was like, oh, that's what Severance is about. And I was into it. But it also struck me that teams now, they forget like the little animated videos. You have to be a movie quality 10-minute video.
And these are $1 million productions, probably more. You could have just asked Bogusch about Severance. He loves Severance.
Love Severance. Excitedly hit play on that video. Didn't love it.
Was it? Well, because you know the real show.
And it was so long.
It was long, and it was a little too slow. And like with the Panthers video as well, football players are not actors.
Oh, but the Panthers video started out funny. I didn't ask Manny to grab that sound, but it starts out funny with guys sitting around like a therapy session, basically telling their deep, dark secrets. And one of them is Xavier Legette, actually does not have a thick South Carolina accent. He's a British gentleman who's been faking it this whole time. But then it got really boring right after that.
I love the NFL players not being able to act. I think that's a big part of the charm. As someone who can't act who's been in a movie, people love that.
You're like Oscar level compared to the rest of us.
The dumb lineman on the Ravens who's like, yes, I don't remember who you are.
No, the best is when players do local like car commercials and TV commercials, very lo-fi. These are all like glossy. And
before we move past the videos, I don't know if you're going to do, the winner is always the Titans.
Titans were great. They basically did a drug commercial.
A fake
Schedule Rizzy.
Yeah, Schedule Rizzy instead of Sky Rizzy. It was chef's kiss.
I thought the Chargers was good too with the Minecraft thing. Okay, stock goes up, stock goes down. I'm going to stock down here for you guys for the New York Giants. I mean, all the positivity that may have been in the building with you trade up for back into the first round, you get a quarterback. All right, it's not Shador. Fine. It's Jackson Dart. Get behind Jackson Dart, and then you look at the Giants' schedule, and it's just absolutely brutal.
Oh, yeah.
And to start off the season, too, so, all hope could be dashed by the time you get to October. At Commanders, at Cowboys, Chiefs on Sunday night, Chargers, at the Saints, a little reprieve. Then your Eagles on a Thursday on a short week.
Oh, yeah.
At the Broncos, at Eagles again, 49ers, at Bears, Packers, at the Lions. There's no breaks. There's
Can't break that slump.
Who are they going to
Holy
play? By the way,
moly.
sorry, who are they going to play that's going to make them good? They've been bad for 10, 15 years.
Yeah, but you got coach and GM on the hot seat. You just made this big
That's your
move for the
special
quarterback.
superpower?
And
Big move for second. By the way, Jackson Dart. My big question, I've been talking to Bogusch about this, is he going to be one and done? And I think there's a gigantic chance they're going to draft a quarterback next year.
I mean, generally when you have 3 wins, your schedule the next year is a little lighter. We asked Onnie Bose about this. He said it was just a function of who they're playing, and it just happens to be
we knew
the
this.
NFC East and the NFC North, and all the teams are good there.
Yeah, we knew on Tuesday that the Giants were going to have the hardest schedule.
And the AFC West,
because they were the lowest team in the NFC East, so they had if you look at strike schedule, they have the wins of the other teams. Yeah, no, they have no chance. I don't know, you couldn't arrange that schedule to make them good.
By the way, also brutal as the Giants' schedule, their video. That was
yes.
awful.
I didn't even see it.
Oh, that was awful.
I didn't even see it, honestly. It didn't even make my timeline.
Don't waste your time, Maggie.
I mean, there's 32 of them. It's hard to get
It's
to
repulsive.
everyone.
It's pathetic. It's awful.
All right, bro, stock down.
Okay, we did this earlier in the week, and this is going back a couple of days. The Los Angeles Chargers travel the most, 37,000 miles. So that would be a stock down. I'm actually going to go flip on that stock up. The Cincinnati Bengals somehow only travel 8,000 miles over the course of the season. Basically, they are playing most of their games in Southeast Ohio, and they can drive to every game. It is unbelievable. I don't know what that means. It's actually, they don't travel at all. They have a hard schedule, but it's interesting to me that how do you only travel 8,000? They're well below every team in the league. Cincinnati, explain it to me. It's just because they're in the middle of the country, Maggie?
Yeah, they're not going to London. They're not going to Brazil.
They're not playing the West. Yeah. So at least they'll be well rested when their defense lets up 39 points a game.
Jeez. I'll do one more stock up. We'll get to Bogusch. Stock up on the Minnesota Vikings. I get that they were a playoff team last year, but then disappointed in that first round. They get upset by the Rams, but 7 standalone games, 4 in prime time, and a Christmas game against the Lions. A lot of faith in a team that's being led by J.J. McCarthy, who we have not seen on the NFL level yet, but clearly the league, and we talked to Onnie Bose about it, who's the VP of NFL broadcasting, they think that even J.J. McCarthy brings a lot of juice because he won a national championship at Michigan. By the way, by handing the ball off mostly. So it's going to be interesting to me about the Vikings, but clearly the stock is up on their outlook.
Yeah, I see. I think the much bigger story of the Vikings is this a competitive advantage or disadvantage that they're going to Dublin and London the 2 weeks in a row, so they get to stay over there. But the amazing thing is those are 2 hard road games that they're getting.
Steelers and Browns?
Steelers and Browns. So they're pulling the Steelers and Browns out of their home stadiums. I think this worked out brilliantly. Normally you say, oh, they're spending 2 weeks in London. It's going to wear them down. I mean, that's, I think, one reason to be bullish on the Vikings. I think they could go over because they don't have to go to Pittsburgh. I mean, Onnie said that they went to the Vikings. He said, would you do this? If you're the Vikings, you're like, heck yeah, we don't want to go to Pittsburgh.
Also, the Jags have been good when they've had to stay for 2 weeks. They're better in that second game.
Yeah, you adjust, right?
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about that. So that actually is a big advantage. We'll see if they merit all this primetime. I'm high on them. You're still TBD.
There you go, a little Thursday edition of the M&P 500. Oh, we should mention also that the Colts schedule release video ended up being so controversial that they had to take it down. So that's, I guess, a stock down.
Well, that's because the NFL keeps raising the bar for what these. I mean, if you have to do a feature film, of course you're going to get in trouble.
Well, you don't have to have Tyreek Hill getting arrested by the Miami Coast Guard in your film.
Yeah, so that was It's kind of odd, though. Was that a direct reference to when Tyreek Hill got
arrested on the way to the
arrested?
stadium? I mean, and that ended up being such a that was not a good. That was everything about that ended up being bad. And I don't know, the Colts. Like, is Jim Irsay coming up? Not Jim. Yeah, Jim Irsay coming up with this stuff.
Well, the Colts are funny too because they film everything. I was complaining about Deion filming too much. The Colts every year have a massive behind-the-scenes show that they put out on their own. So they have a very active group. I can think that somebody's got to call them and say, guys, chill out.
In the Chargers Minecraft video that they released, with their schedule released, when they play the Colts, it was like a driving game, and Anthony Richardson runs out of gas.
Yeah.
Because he asked out one time. That's
You guys should look at the Jets one if you want to go insane. Has anyone seen this?
No.
Basically, it's an AI-created thing where they keep on zooming in. You're like, oh, I don't see where the next opponent is. And they zoom in, and it turns out it's like a fish or some crap. Oh. Anyway, but it will drive you nuts. I can't describe it. It is one of the most highly produced, highly technical ones, and it's completely annoying.
Well, speaking of AI, did you see the Buffalo Bills'
I didn't like it.
Why does he not like that? I thought it was cute.
The Bills said, they did an AI joke where they bring in Allen Iverson, who's looking disoriented and puffy in some kind of hotel room somewhere and has no idea what he's getting pulled into, will not say go Bills. I don't even think that was a joke. He would only say go Josh Allen, and he didn't even say the schedule. He held up a piece of paper that had all the games on it. Doesn't scream Super Bowl. Bogusch, what do you got? Considering Allen Iverson never won Jack either, I don't know if this is the ambassador that we want.
I'm not even going to explain this, but the hype video for the schedule release generally does not mean Super Bowl or not Super Bowl.
Listen, we're at the razor's edge here, Pearl. Come on. Every little bit helps. Spokes, what do you have?
The Warriors held on to win Game 1 after Steph Curry hurt his hamstring, but did not win again, and we'll never know what would have happened had Curry returned in Game 6. Steve Kerr's team season ending last night with a 121-110 loss in Game 5 in Minnesota.
There's no sense in dwelling on it, and I don't want to take anything away from what Minnesota just accomplished, so no sense in even talking about Steph.
Apparently, we're not allowed to ask
what the is
with Jimmy Butler, but playoff Jimmy only had 17 points in this elimination game. The T-Wolves led by 29 points from Julius Randle, 22 plus 12 assists from Anthony Edwards. Minnesota in its second straight Western Conference final. The Knicks, not yet in their first East final in 25 years, losing Game 5 in Boston, 127-102. Tom Thibodeau's team outscored by 34 over the last 32 minutes of the game.
The start of the second quarter, we didn't play well. We had a lead. Didn't play tough with the lead. Came out to start the third. Didn't play well there. Can't afford to do that.
So the Celtics extend their season, surviving their first game without Jason Tatum thanks to 34 points from Derrick White, 26 from Jaylen Brown, and 10 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 blocks from Luke Cornett in Game 6 back at the Garden tomorrow night. A few more scheduled tidbits. The Chiefs, the Commanders, the Cowboys, a league-high 8 standalone games this season. For Dallas, that includes 4 games on Thursday, the most teams ever played in one season. That's the opening game in Philadelphia, Thanksgiving, the following Thursday night, and then Christmas Day as well. The Oilers are the first team into the NHL's Final Four after taking Game 5 in Vegas in overtime 1-0. The Panthers hammered the Leafs 6-1 in Toronto for a 3-2 lead in that series. The Dodgers got a leadoff homer from Shohei Ohtani last night, but needed a big swing late to beat the A's.
2-2 to Muncy is hammered on the right field line. If it stays fair, it's gone. It is fair. It is gone. A 3-run home run for Muncy. His second homer of the year. And the Dodgers lead it 9-3.
I just put something together. I feel like an idiot for not realizing this. Maggie has been claiming 2025 the year of the drought buster.
Yeah.
That's because you fantasize about the New York Mets, your favorite baseball team, breaking their drought. That is where this is a subconscious desire to see the drought since 1986 end.
Well, I mean, obviously, I thought you knew me really well, but clearly you don't.
I knew the Bills.
You think that if you think I'm actually penciling in the New York Mets for a World Series win, you're out of your mind.
Well, I mean, if the Oilers win, will that give you confidence in the Mets because of the drought-busting theme? Because you're pretty committed to this.
Yeah, and it's different than the Bills. The Bills have never actually won a Super Bowl in the Super Bowl era, right?
But they've been to so many.
Thank you, Bogusch.
Sorry.
But no, I don't. I didn't actually think of the Mets because I would never.
Okay, so that's not even the rub. It's more the Bills.
I can't believe until.
I mean, they have a gigantic payroll.
That's not new. They've had that before.
Yeah.
There was literally a book written about a Mets team called "The Worst Team Money Can Buy."
But baseball is crazy. Anything can happen in the playoffs. That's my official analysis. So
Yes.
it's within the realm of personality. Honestly, I give the Mets as much chance as the Bills.
No, baseball, there could definitely be a drought buster for baseball. It's still alive. 2025 year of the drought buster. Hockey would be a big place for me to plant the flag. If it can be Canada, then then it's Rory, the entire country of Canada.
If the Florida Panthers win, are you going to give up on the drought buster?
I don't know. I can't give up, but it's gonna really put a dent into my theory.
Wait, well, can I connect dots now too?
Please.
Isn't all denim called a Canadian tuxedo?
Yeah.
So there you go. You're pulling for hockey today.
Normally, I don't do denim on denim. Perloff called me Brooks Hanlon from
Shawshank Redemption.
Brooks Hanlon from Shawshank Redemption. I have a little bird in my pocket that I'm feeding.
Sweet old man.
I'm
I
a
noticed
sweet
your hand
librarian.
keeps going under the desk. What's under there?
I've got a little bird here. It's cool now. I see other women wearing it, so now I felt okay to step out of my lane and wear denim on denim.
Yeah, no, listen, I understand. The warden, you're going to see the warden after the show. You want to look nice.
Where'd you park your motorcycle this morning?
I expected more. I had a good Maggie joke yesterday on text thread. I thought I needed to get a little more love on that one. Jason Tatum was laid up after his Achilles surgery with the world's biggest cast ever. I mean, ever. I've never seen a cast like this. I said, "Oh, Maggie, if you sprain your ankle, you could borrow this cast because your feet are that big." And nobody jumped on. It's a visual because what was going on with that cast? It wasn't a normal cast. It was
the
cast
way
for
the
an
photo.
elephant.
The way the photo was. It was just the foot was so much closer to the camera than his body.
No, I think that was an oversized cast. You're saying
no, it's it's definitely the angle. But I'll explain to you why I didn't jump on right away. Because like when you texted me about Rick Tocchet, I got like your link after the fact. So I got a text that just said, "Hey Maggie, if you ever sprain your ankle, you can borrow this oversized cast." And I didn't get a picture, so I didn't know what you were talking about. And then Maggie responded, and you laughed at her response, and then Jason Tatum popped up. So the first 3 minutes on my phone were confusion as to what we were talking about. And I didn't want to go, "What picture? What do you mean?" Yeah, so I just laid out.
No, I responded, "I don't think it's going to fit."
Right. There's very few guaranteed things in this job, but putting a joke out about Maggie's feet on the text thread, getting a laugh from everybody, that used to be a guarantee.
No, it still is a guarantee. I audibly laughed, but I was at the gym.
Yeah. And they're still huge. That's not going anywhere.
Like my lats.
Like,
you know what's so funny? Like Manny's gorilla back. Is that what you keep calling it? Manny versus 100 gorillas,
Like my
but just his
lats.
back. So what I've noticed is it's been raining nonstop on the East Coast. And
It's awful.
It just won't stop. It's just a monsoon. So I've been doing a lot of jumping in puddles with my 5-year-old, and it's like...
Liberating?
No, it's just he jumps and the splashes are like little and cute, and then I'll jump and it's like tsunami because my feet are just so big. I'm like soaking him.
When it rains, you just tilt your foot up and let him sit underneath.
As a lean-to.
Yeah, to block the water.
Yeah, if we all go camping and somehow it rains, my feet can serve as some kind of shelter.
Thank goodness.
By the way, good restraint, Bogusch. By not asking, you go to the gym, Manny?
Oh, wow. All right.
Whatever. You didn't laugh at my foot joke. And this cast is not the angle. This is a big cast. I'm sorry. Don't say that I
Well,
didn't
he's
realize
also
it.
6'7".
He's
so
also
his big
6'7",
feet.
probably wears a
This
12
is an
size shoe.
abnormally large cast on Jason Tatum's leg.
Because he's an abnormally large human being. Maggie's normal until you get to the bottom of
With
her.
abnormal feet.
You guys are crazy.
I've only been blessed in one area. This is not where women hope
This
to
cast,
be.
they
Just my
borrowed
feet.
this from a rhinoceros. This cast is way too big.
Yo,
for the
Maggie, we
foot.
actually have Shaquille O'Neal on the line. Wants his shoes back.
We shop at the same place. Got to order my stuff directly from China.
All right. Let's
The
not make it
factory's
too
not
much,
big
guys.
enough. All right.
It's like a shipyard.
They're bringing them in on boat. I go to actually the port of Newark is where I go shopping for shoes. not
I
regular
hear it's wonderful this time of year.
Foot Locker. All right, guys. Coming up next, the big question that needs to be answered by one superstar, MMP.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It's been a busy show. If you missed any part of it, Maggie Perloff podcast there for you. 5-star reviews are super helpful and easy. You can also catch us on the rewind function on the Odyssey app, which is free to download, crystal clear and fantastic. And of course, we're on YouTube and Twitch and on SiriusXM channel 375. Okay, one big thing I think that the biggest question mark now moving forward in sports for where we are sitting on this Thursday is not about Manny's Knicks. We'll see what happens on Friday for them. It's about the Warriors and where do they go from here. It really is, because they feel like the team that went obviously all in, like the Lakers did at the trade deadline, but the Lakers got Luka. This is like for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
The Warriors got Jimmy Butler.
But they didn't give up that much. They gave up a pick, right?
It's fine, but then it got so exciting because Jimmy clearly injected some kind of life or whatever to that franchise.
Right.
So now the expectations got built back up again.
For this year.
Or just for Steph winning a 5th title before he retires.
No.
And now...
No.
Okay, well...
I mean, look at the ages, Maggie. It had to be this year kind of. And even that, even when it happened, that week, we were not talking about the Warriors like that. We're talking about, you know what? It makes them more competitive. It wasn't a clear path to the title at the time. Not like Luka going to the Lakers.
But you never know with the playoffs, right? Because Steph, you've said this. I don't love the way you put it, but I get what you're getting at when you say he's not a very athletic person. What you mean is he doesn't have a game that's above the rim. And
I don't know why I have to explain that. Like NFL has something called the athletic profile. It's well accepted. It's how fast you run, how high you jump, and how strong you are. It's called an athletic profile. Steph Curry does not run fast, does not jump high, and cannot bench press a lot. Therefore, he does not have a high athletic profile.
Right. So that's how one sport defines it. No, Tom Brady actually just had an in-depth conversation with Logan Paul about what is athleticism and isn't it being good at in your discipline. But anyway, that's not here or there. Well, what I'm saying is,
it's not. But go
you've said that Curry's game's going to age well, and we are seeing Curry's game age well. So to say that he couldn't rip off a 5th title, that's now just playing Monday morning quarterback because he got a hamstring injury and they were gentlemen swept out of the playoffs. That's not what people were saying before the playoffs started. Yeah,
this year they had a shot, but they're getting so old. That's what I'm saying. The next year, listen, the West is going one direction and the Warriors are going the other direction. It's just, I think it's your LeBron-itis. You are ignoring age. You can't. The powerhouses are coming up, these young teams, and the Warriors, Draymond's he's going to be 39, Jimmy's going to be 36, and Steph's going to be 38 next year. That has never happened.
Let's go to Dom. He's in San Francisco. Dominic, what do you think, dude? To a Super Bowl commercial with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. I think she could definitely get herself on the set of College Game Day.
I think it's going to happen. We haven't.
I don't know. I felt like, Dominic, that Bill has wisened up and is not going to have Jordan by his side anymore for any big moments.
Okay, but for how long? That was ACC Media Day that we just didn't see her. She could still be in Amelia
Island.
Island.
Bill have any say about it, whether Jordan sits up there with Herb Street or not? He just seems like the guy that's Jordan Hudson tells him.
Well, yeah, who's calling the shots?
I think that those days are over. I think things have changed.
I don't know, dude. I mean, it was only a week ago he's sitting in the front row of the Miss Maine competition. Do you think Bill Belichick would ever be caught dead at something like that? That wasn't 3 months ago. It was last week.
Yeah, I think it's a case of frog and how high at this point.
Nope. I disagree with both of you. I think that things are going to change from here on out.
Dom, going to change, all right.
I don't know about that. I'm kind of with Dom on this one. Dom, thank you for the call.
Byron, that opening game day. Oh, baby. They announced LSU Clemson week 1, 7:30 p.m. The full week 1 schedule is out. That is going to be amazing. And it will not, North Carolina will be miles from that.
Wait, they already said where game day is going? I'm sorry.
Well, no, but I assume that's a great kid. That is.
But it's Lee Corso's last game, so would they want to go to Florida State for that? You got FSU, Alabama for Lee Corso, Pearl.
Oh, God.
Roommates with Burt Reynolds. Once upon a time.
He's also affiliated with NC State. Now, you're really going to go to Alabama, Florida State over, what is Clemson and LSU is like 5 versus 8? That's where I would go.
I don't know. Thank you, Manny Rodriguez. Thank you, Andrew. Great job today. Fantastic. Andrew Bogusch, Andrew Kaplan. Guido's Coffee Drinkers, Onnie Bose, the VP of Broadcasting for the NFL, and Ian O'Connor, the award-winning writer. You can check everything out on the Maggie and Perloff podcast, and we'll see you tomorrow.
You're enough.